Portugal, Roberto Martinez. I mean, I just don't understand some of his management. Ronaldo was on the periphery. The game passed him by. He has to be brave enough to manage. He's not the manager of the Portuguese team, and that's their issue.
Well, if DR Congo flourished, then Portugal wilted. Camera close-up on Cristiano Ronaldo, looking around, dejected, disappointed, hands on hips. Delight for DR Congo in Houston against the powder-puff Portugal. It's finished Portugal 1, DR Congo 1.
Alistair Bruce Ball, Chris Sutton, thank you very much for that. Live from Houston for that draw between Portugal and Democratic Republic of Congo. Just one thing to clear up in case you haven't been listening all evening. It's not that the Congo manager is a part-time florist, it's that his nickname is the florist because he allows his players to grow and to bloom. If you water them, they will grow, and he gets the best out of them. Guys, it's been really lovely listening to you. Thank you very much for that. João Nunes putting Portugal in front, and then Johan Wissa with the equaliser for Congo. What an incredible result. There'll be loads more reaction to that across the BBC Sport website and app. You can follow all of it, and you'll be able to see highlights a little bit later on as well. We are going to start our build-up, though, to England's part in the tournament. They're taking on Croatia in Dallas in less than an hour. We'll look ahead to that after the BBC News with Beth Ann Holmes.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
We now know the details of the United States peace deal with Iran. US officials say as soon as it's signed, which President Trump says could be as early as tomorrow, military action by both countries and their allies will stop, including in Lebanon. The agreement says Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and the US will oversee a $300 billion fund for the reconstruction and economic development of Iran. Sir Keir Starmer's urged Andy Burnham not to initiate an immediate leadership challenge if he wins the Makerfield by-election. And Sir Keir Starmer's made it clear that he would fight in any contest for his job. A full list of candidates in tomorrow's by-election is available on the BBC News website and app. Victims of forced adoptions will receive a full apology from the government. About 185,000 children were taken from unmarried mothers between 1949 and 76 in England and Wales. And the BBC's announced 550 job cuts in news, nations and TV and radio content. It's part of the first stage in the corporation's plan to save £500 million over the next 2 years.
Stories so wild.
It's actually real and it actually happened.
They need to be seen to be believed.
Believe in Magic was like no other charity.
The mother of all cons.
It was all based on a lie.
Hi, the Dubai drug bust.
It's almost like going into shock. Bam! I thought my life was over.
Kidnapped by my mum.
She thought she was doing what was best for me.
And loads more unbelievable stories.
I just remember thinking, whoa.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport.
At the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Welcome back to 5 Live Sport as England finally get their World Cup underway in Dallas.
We feel ready to go. Now you arrive in Dallas, you see the fans outside the stadium. This is where the excitement really kicks in. Now it really starts.
It's just about making the country proud, as we always try and do, and they can see the passion, see the togetherness that we're going to bring, and hopefully that unites the country as well. So can't wait to get this thing started.
It's saved by Pickford, and Pickford strikes a pose. He twirls his fist.
It's my 5th major now, so I don't think we've ever been the last team, like on the last day of the first round of games, so I'm ready to go to Dallas.
Watkins turns! Watkins scores! Ollie Watkins! That is wonderful!
Flicked on, overhead kick from Bellingham! It's that man, Jude Bellingham! He saved England!
The overhead acrobatic kick. I can't believe it.
Rice, right-footed, top corner. He's only gone and scored.
Saka having a go. Bukayo Saka has been England's brightest spark for much of the tournament.
It's headed in by Kane. He's joined the party, and the captain's on the score sheet. He's got white England shirts all over him.
We expect to compete on highest level. We know what we expect from ourselves. We know what we want to do, and we feel that we're ready to go.
Not everyone in our team to look ahead to this game will remember Dallas, the TV series, but myself and John Murray are definitely two of them. And John, you've got the team news as well.
Yes, I can't bring you JR. I can only do JM.
Oh, okay.
And I can tell you again, just to restate, the team news, the England team is the same that started the final warm-up match in Florida against Costa Rica, as we kind of suspected it would be. So Pickford in goal, James, Konza, Stones and O'Reilly are the back four, then Anderson and Rice, and then Madueke, Bellingham, Gordon and Kane. So that will tell you that there's no place in the starting lineup for the first match for Mark Gay, Morgan Rogers, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford, Eberici Eza. They all have to start among the substitutes for this World Cup campaign. But that's the team for England. And as for Croatia, run you through their side, Livakovic is the goalkeeper. They are going with three central defenders, which again was the impression that we got last night here. So Šutalo, Vuskovic, the young Tottenham defender who's done very well at Hamburg this season, he starts. And then Gvardiol of Manchester City, the left-handed player of the back three. Then the line of four, Stanisic on the right, Perisic on the left, and then Sučić and Luka Modric winning his 199th cap tonight. And then Baturina, Mario Pasalic and Petar Musa up front, which is an interesting one because Musa plays for FC Dallas, just a short distance away from here. And that means for Croatia, no place in their starting lineup for Kovacic, Kramaric or Ante Budimir, who seem to be the most likely to play up front, but instead Zlatko Dalic has gone with Petar Musa.
As well as John Murray, we have a whole host of England internationals with us. Paul Robinson is alongside John in the stadium. Steph Horton and Connor Cody are here in the studio. Alan Shearer joins us from New York. Alan, it was as expected. Is it what you would have gone for, though?
Possibly not. I'd probably go against a lot of people here, but I would have had Morgan Rogers in, I think, because of his form, because of the part he's played in the last sort of 10 to 12 months for England. I perhaps would have started with him. Obviously Saka would have started for me if he had been 100% fit, but he's clearly not. Madueke comes in for him, but I think everyone else pretty standard. I think the other discussion would have been Stones or Gehi, but he's opted for Stones, and no one can doubt that the quality is there with him. It's just that he hasn't played a lot of 90 minutes this season.
Luka Modric was talking about Jude Bellingham. He said, I've played with him for 2 years. I know what sort of top-notch player he is and a character as well. He's a great threat to us. Paul, is he the pick that you would have had at number 10?
Bellingham, yeah, absolutely. He was in my team when we did our teams, and I just like the way that he's handled him this season. Thomas Tuchel, with hindsight now, looking back at the season that Jude Bellingham's had, he's been left out of squads, he's been dropped from the starting 11, and Thomas Tuchel's proven that England didn't need Jude Bellingham. They're better with Jude Bellingham, with his attitude, his application, and at the top of his game. They're a better team, obviously, with a quality player like that, but actually he's got to be a part of a team and not an individual. And I think, as I say, with hindsight, looking back now, you can see the year that he's had Thomas Tuchel with him, left him out of squads, left him out of start 11s, brought Morgan Rogers into the side, and I think he's brought Jude Bellingham to a place of exactly where he wanted him, with maybe something to prove coming into this World Cup.
Steph, Connor, either of you going to join with Alan Shearer and go for Rogers over Bellingham?
I would have tried to have got Rodgers in the side. I think for me, Jude Bellingham, in terms of moments, he's a moment player, and I think we do need that, especially against Croatia. If they're going to play a back five, we need someone to be able to break them down. But I think it's a bit harsh on Morgan Rogers just because of the season that he's had. I think Alan put it perfectly in terms of what he's contributed for Villa this season, but also keeping that number 10 shirt for England while Bellingham was injured and he got left out the squad. I think there's a fair argument for him to be in.
It's a difficult one because you're looking at a player who maybe hasn't played as regularly, and then someone like Morgan Rogers who's had a long season and then had European success at the end of it, and it's balancing that up ahead of what could be a long tournament for England.
Yeah, 100%, Kelly. But at the same time, these are the problems that come with playing for England. These are the issues that any manager managing England is going to have. And I'd have gone with Jude Bellingham personally. I think his quality. We can't forget what he's done in previous tournaments as well, in terms of, remember the goal from the last one, the overhead kick, and different things like that. The quality that lad has is unbelievable. So I would have gone with Jude Bellingham myself. But that's not taking nothing away from Morgan Rogers because of the season he's had. But for me, I don't think we can forget the quality that Jude Bellingham's had. Just because he's had a few injuries this season, he's not really been in the firing line for Real Madrid.
And the other thing that we should remember, Alan, and we'll have to remember for the whole of this tournament, is that just because a team starts, they're by no means going to finish this game. And just because a team starts in the first game, it doesn't mean that's how they're going to even end the group stages, let alone perform in the later stages and the knockouts.
No, absolutely. I think because of the season that their players have had, and because of the number of games, because of the heat and everything else that we expect from this World Cup, then you're probably going to see more players used in this tournament than we've seen before, because of all of that. So as much as the disappointment will be from the players that are not in the 11, the manager, without doubt, the words that he would have been saying to them is that we cannot win this World Cup with those 11 players. We have to going to rely on the 26, and there's going to be players that are not in the 11 today that will still have a huge part to play over the coming weeks.
Alan, while you're with us, we should focus for a while on the England captain, Harry Kane, and we can hear from him now on how he's feeling about getting their tournament underway.
Excited, to be honest. Obviously, playing after 6 days or so, or watching all the games, kind of waiting for your turn. Obviously, the anticipation starts to grow, and you just can't wait to kind of be out there on the pitch. So definitely some excitement. Now we're here and kind of seeing the stadium, and just looking forward to being out there with the boys for sure.
And it is fair to say, isn't it, that you could barely be in better form heading into a World Cup after the amazing season that you've had. The numbers are incredible.
Yeah, 100%. For sure, it's the best season I've ever had in my career, and it's a great time to do that leading into a World Cup. You always want to stay fit and healthy towards the back end of the season, which I was able to do, and that leads us nicely into this summer. We had a great prep camp, some 2 good friendly games, and now I think not just me, but I think the whole team are just itching to kind of get out there and prove ourselves on the pitch.
How has it made you feel about yourself to have hit totals like this season?
Yeah, I think it just shows that all the hard work I put in, both on the pitch and away from the pitch as well, is obviously working. Always the mindset to improve and get better is possible. No matter how many years you've been playing the game, there's always stuff to learn, and there's always ways you can improve. And this season has proved that, and not just to improve, but it's, I think, 20 odd goals more than what I've had in other seasons or any other season in my career. And
sounds ridiculous to say that.
No, and so it just shows you can keep pushing the limits. Anything is possible when you put your mind to stuff. And like I say, from my point of view, this season it's been amazing.
Do you feel almost superhuman?
I wouldn't go that far, but I feel great. I think when all aspects of your game are, at a level that you've probably not seen before in terms of physically, mentally, just game understanding, all these things. My finishing, even in training, is as good as it's ever been in my career, to be honest with you. I feel really sharp, and as we know in sports, in football, you can have highs and lows, so I don't like to get carried away with where I'm at, but also I can use it as confidence and use the back end of last season, finishing with the 2 hat-tricks. I can definitely use that momentum into this summer for sure.
Yeah. Just finally, you're the England captain, it's the World Cup. Give us a bit of a rallying cry for everyone who will be following England around the world and back home.
Yeah, well, everyone, we always have amazing support, both wherever we travel and also back home, and it's the start of a special summer. So from my point of view, it's just about making the country proud, as we always try and do, to put in performances that they're going to enjoy, and they can see the passion, they can see the togetherness that we're going to bring, and hopefully that unites the country as well. So yeah, can't wait to get this thing started.
And that was Harry Kane talking to John Murray. The word superhuman is absolutely made for John Murray to say. It sounds perfect in your voice, John. Alan Shearer, is Harry Kane superhuman, given what he's done over the last couple of seasons especially?
Well, look at his numbers. It's very difficult to argue against that. I mean, I was just thinking there, when I came into the game in the late 80s, certainly 90s, if you got 20 goals, then that was regarded as an incredible season. That was the target that I always used to try and get to, and anything other than that was a big bonus. I mean, but now he's 60 odd goals in a season, and he said it's 20 odd more that he's actually got before, which sounds absolutely outrageous, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, I've been in Harry's position in terms of captaining your country leading into a World Cup, and it's an amazing feeling. It makes him so proud again, so happy, so confident. Not that he needs any belief or anything like that, because he's had to watch, like we all have the last 6 or 7 days of the World Cup, and he's had to watch the 3 or 4 the big hitters in terms of Messi and Mbappe and Haaland get off to great starts in terms of individual goals and the team as well. So he'll be itching to get off and sort of be released, you know. So it's been a long few days for them. The squad seems as if it's in a really good place and a really confident place, and yeah, this is it now. We can all sit back and hopefully enjoy a very good performance, and if England are going to go deep into this tournament, he's the man that's going to take us there in terms of the goals.
Yeah, he's so important, and it's so important that he takes that form into those games for England. 8 goals in 11 World Cup matches. He's chasing down Gary Lineker's record of 10. Golden Boot winner in 2018. As you said, he'll be looking at some of the big names who are already putting numbers on the board and hoping to kind of chase them down. He's third on the all-time England appearances for the men's side, equal with David Beckham. But I know you're saying his form is going to be important for England, his goals are going to be important for England, but how reliant are England on him? What do they have without him?
Well, that's fine. I mean, if France are going to get to the final, they're going to have to rely on Mbappe. If Argentina are going to get to the final, they're going to have to rely on Messi. If Norway are going to have to go places, then you know what I'm talking about. So it's no different from with England with Harry Kane, but that's the pressure that comes with it. If you want to call it pressure, I guess he will really, really enjoy it, as I did. Everyone's looking at him, expecting and demanding him to score goals, and that's fine. That's what comes with a number on your back playing for England in the World Cup. So, yep, that they're going to have to rely on him, but I don't see a problem in that, because a lot of the other big countries as well have got their big player that they have to rely on too.
And John Murray, the England players are out on the pitch to the strains of Fat Les's Vindaloo and to great cheers from the England fans. And there's a sea of red and white lights around the ground for their entry.
Yeah, quite fittingly, when Alan Shearer was talking about Harry Kane, suddenly the camera focused on the mouth of the tunnel, and there he came. Harry Kane, silvery grey shirt, leading the players out onto the pitch. He was shown on the massive screen here, which is, honestly, to call it a big screen is an understatement. And when that came up, that produced a real cheer from the England supporters. It says it all. Just as Alan says, he's the absolute spearhead.
Alan, for Harry Kane to bring out the best in Harry Kane, what does he need around him? What does he need? Because he can do pretty much everything on his own if needed, but what helps him the most?
Well, first and foremost, he has to score the goals. But in him scoring the goals, that doesn't mean that he can't go deeper like he loves to do. He's brilliant at that. So you can't stop him doing that. But when he does do that, I think what we lacked 2 years ago was that people and players running past him. Now, we got a manager who's managed him before, who knows exactly what he is and what he needs, and to bring the very best out of him. And I think with Gordon, with Bellingham, and certainly with Madueke, they're the ones that can get past him. They've got the freedom to do that. They've got the legs to do that. So when we do press as well, they're going to have to play their part in pressing as well. But I think the key is that we've seen it so many times this season for Bayern Munich. When I've watched him, particularly in Champions League games, what he does is go deep and get that ball. He wants players running in behind so he can chip that pass, so he can take that touch and turn and clip the pass into them. And if we're going to see the best of him and England, that's what they're going to have to do.
And Alan, in this game in Dallas, it's all air conditioned and it's going to be relatively pleasant for the players to play in. But in some of the more hostile environments where it is going to be hot and it is going to be humid, is that where a player who's got those big moments in him really comes into his own, when maybe the team can't perform with the highest of intensity or energy?
Well, again, when you're the big name player in the team, when things aren't going quite your way, which that will happen, that there's no doubt about that. England will be and find it tough at times and be in a sticky situation. But that's where your big players. I mean, use France as an example yesterday. I mean, they were terrible in the first half. Mbappe couldn't get his touch right. Everything was bouncing off him. And then all of a sudden, when his country needs him, you turn up the heat, and everyone then looks at you to produce that piece of magic. And Harry can do that. And he's going to have to do that at a stage or 2 or 3 if England are going to win this tournament.
Alan, thank you very much. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Alan Shearer joining us live from New York. Connor, is that how Harry Kane is seen from inside an England squad?
He's seen like that and more. He's seen as the leader, the man that Alan's just said is going to spearhead the country. I think what Alan said was everything he is, but that's just him in a nutshell. I think the way he plays, how mentally driven he is when it comes to leading his country, and he can take everything that comes. He can take all the plaudits and get better and better and better. Sometimes when players like him, or nines like him, or attacking players like him take plaudits, sometimes it can get to them a little bit and it can get in the head a little bit. Not with Harry Kane. The way he leads, the way he trains, the way he does things, the way he looks after his body, I think he's the best he's ever been, and he's getting older. Usually when you get older, I can tell you firsthand at the age I'm at now, it becomes harder and harder and harder, and he's getting better and better and better. So I wouldn't want anybody else leading our country with the way he plays up front, and we're always in the game with him, and can he take us all the way? You'll never know.
Do you think that drive comes from the fact that he has had to be a craftsman really rather than an artist, that he's had to go out on loan as a young player and kind of earn his way into the position that he's in, that it's a position that he's worked at rather than something that's come easily to him?
Do you know the amazing thing, Kelly, and I try and tell this to a lot of young players now, in terms of what he's done and the way he squeezes everything out of his career to the level he is doing now is unbelievable. I played with him in the England youth ages, and even then he was the first one on the training pitch, last one off, training, working, practicing penalties, practicing shooting. Then he's had all the low moves he's had. So to see what he's doing now, and by the way, we're seeing a player at 32 getting better. We're seeing him getting better year on year. What he does for us as a country, what he does for Bayern Munich, the way he stepped up when he's gone to Bayern Munich when he's had to. I think it's credit to him in everything he does, and I think any young player watching football and watching our country needs to look at him for the way he squeezes everything out of it.
And Steph, as someone who has captained their country at an international tournament, at a World Cup, what is it about him that's so admirable in terms of the way that he leads? I mean, Connor talked about it, that setting of an example, and just his mentality and his drive.
I just love the fact that he knows who he is, and I think sometimes when you've been given such a big responsibility, and don't get me wrong, England captain is what everybody dreams of doing, and I know that because I've been through that process, but I think he knows what type of leader he is, and I think when you're in a change room, I mean, Connor can maybe back us up, you don't want to see change in people on and off the pitch, no matter what responsibility you've got. And I think for me, that consistency of behaviour, you get the respect of your teammates straight away, and that consistency of what he does every single day, that leads him to the player that he is today. And I think that humility, I think that kind of says in abundance. I think to consistently hit the numbers that he's done and to have the season he's done at 32 is remarkable. And I back Connor in the sense of, would you want anybody else to lead our country in this game today? Absolutely not.
Paul, how would you feel facing not just Harry Kane, but Harry Kane in this form, which Connor was saying is the best of his life?
Yeah, without a doubt it is. And, let's go back to the conversation about Jude Bellingham. Thomas Tuchel this season has proved that England can play without Jude Bellingham. They will cope, and that they're actually okay. Morgan Rogers, he is not indispensable. Harry Kane, for me, has become indispensable for England. Yes, we've got Ollie Watkins. Yes, there's Ivan Toney, Marcus Rashford, who can play there, and other players that can play in that position. But when you take a captain, a leader, a talisman, use all the above phrases, and that fits with him. And he has developed his game. He drops deeper, and I think the way that Thomas Tuchel plays now with Harry Kane as a singular striker, the wide players are so important because they understand his game, that he can drop into that 10 role and they'll run in behind him, and then he'll get himself into the box and he'll take those opportunities, and he's become that important for England. England without Jude Bellingham, they can manage. England without Harry Kane, it's a whole different conversation.
Connor, we talk a lot about players setting an example and leaders setting an example in the way that you were saying that Harry Kane does, but how does that bleed into the rest of the team? How does that affect how the rest of the team will prepare for a tournament?
Because you've got to follow, you really have. I think someone like Harry, I've been lucky enough and had the privilege to share a dressing room with him. It's not the noise he brings, it's the way he talks, it's what he says. He doesn't need to shout and scream and be in a room and shout and scream. He can be sat in this room now and he'll talk, and straight away everyone will be quiet and listen, because that's the aura he has, that's the commanding nature he has and the commanding presence that he has. And I can't speak more highly of him. The respect I have with him as a player, because of what I mentioned before about the way he's squeezed everything out of his career, but also what he's doing now for our country. He takes everything in his stride, he takes everything in his step. I hear his interviews and I just smile, because I think to myself,
Connor,
yes mate.
So exactly that. We were in the press conference last night with Harry Kane, and he actually took more questions than the England manager.
Yeah.
The world's media were more interested in talking to him, and you say you shared a dressing room with him, and you've seen the development in him as a person, and having watched his career and watched his interviews and seen the way he speaks and speaking to him personally, the way that he's developed in front of the media and as a person as well, he's become that figurehead on the same type of level as Ronaldo, do you not think?
Yeah, 100%. And he'll be looking at the games the last 2 days and looking at the players who scored. He'll be looking at Messi and he'll be looking at Mbappe and be going, right, it's my turn now. And he'll be chomping at the bit. And that's the biggest thing for me, Paul, is when I see him and I see his interviews, everything just goes into his stride. He'll know what he is to England. He'll know that deep in his head. He'll know that deep in his heart that I'm everything to this country. He won't say it, but he will know how much he needs to perform for us to get results for this competition. I can't wait for him to start. I can't wait for this competition for him.
And I think as well, the work that he's done at Bayern, the numbers that he's hit at Bayern Munich have just been so incredible. I mean, Alan Shearer was sort of explaining it earlier and saying, look, he doesn't need confidence. He's got that. He has the belief in himself. But just the numbers, 61 goals in 51 matches, 147 goals in 146 matches since he joined Bayern. He's the Bundesliga's top scorer for the third season in a row. It's not just one season great numbers, it's not just 2 seasons great numbers, it's consistency as well.
Yeah, and I think when you have someone that's performed that level, you automatically get the respect of your teammates. So no matter how you lead a team, ultimately if you're a player, you want to be in a position that Harry Kane's in, starting every single game for club and country, being able to be that person that everybody looks to if you need a goal or you need a moment of magic. And he's proved that over the last 4 tournaments, especially for England. But I think everybody maybe was questioning how he would do over in Germany, but again, he's kicked on again. And I think this season, in terms of how important he's been for Bayern Munich, but also the players around him, they want to feed him, they want to give him the chances to be able to score, and he's done that in the league but also in the Champions League too.
Well, as Paul was telling us, Harry Kane was fielding more questions in the press conference than even the England boss, Thomas Tuchel. But he has had some big decisions to make, Tuchel. The biggest of them, maybe in terms of the debates that are going to be raging amongst people and amongst England fans, is to go for Jude Bellingham over Morgan Rogers for this first game against Croatia. He talked about that decision and said it was very close. We've stuck with the team that started so well against Costa Rica. Both of them deserve to start, and we will have those kind of decisions, which is what Connor was saying earlier on. It's what is par for the course if you're the England manager. But we're going to continue to build up to England against Croatia. It's England's first game of this 2026 World Cup. It's taking place in Dallas. It kicks off in just over half an hour's time. There's lots more to discuss between now and then. We're also going to bring you the very latest on the cricket. New Zealand closed at 291 for 7 on the opening day of the second test at the Oval. Sonny Baker claimed 2 wickets on his test debut, and he spoke afterwards to TMS Dan Norcross about how he felt after his first.
Oh, well, I mean, it's probably pretty obvious how I felt at the time. Yeah, just super excited, you know. So, obviously, after my other 2 debuts, it's just desperate to get on the board, and yeah, so happy. After my first over was done, I was like, cool, okay, I can now get stuck into the game. And then rhythm felt a little bit better second spell, and yeah, just good catch from Beth actually, but yeah, buzzing he clung onto it.
And then you get the second as well, and that's one that's about pace, you know, missed timing. That must have felt pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Darryl's a pretty decent player with a short ball, but I thought it'd be worth a crack. Like, there's no point just banging away on the front foot the whole time. It's worth mixing it up, and especially if you've got a bit of airspeed, why not? Like as Baz said in interviews before, that's why you have bowlers with airspeed on wickets that are a little bit flatter and that are generally good. So, yeah, hopefully we can finish them off tomorrow and then go from there. It's been a bit of a roller coaster for you the last couple of weeks. Suddenly you're making your test debut. When did you find out? How did you feel? What were the nerves like?
Oh, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of commotion last week, and I sort of thought I might be in with a sniff in that, you know, obviously Ollie Robb, unfortunately, his knee's a bit sore, and that then takes 3 seamers out of the equation, and I was obviously doing 12ers, so I thought, I'm in with a bit of a chance here. I wasn't sure what the balance of the side was going to be, and then obviously found out, got the news a couple of days before, which was awesome because I could, 1, sort tickets, which can be a nightmare last minute, and then 2, just mentally prep myself and get stuck in. But yeah, really, really happy with how the first day's gone, obviously.
Well, that was Sonny Baker, and you can get much more reaction to that on the TMS podcast, and that is available for you on BBC Sounds. England will be without captain Nat Sciver-Brunt for at least the next 2 matches in the Women's T20 World Cup. She's got a calf injury. In tennis, British number 5 Arthur Ferry is into the quarterfinals at Queen's after a straight sets victory over Adrian Manarino. Rangers have appointed Derek McInnes as manager on a 3-year contract after confirmation that Danny Roll has left to join Red Bull Salzburg after just 8 months in charge. So England set to get their World Cup campaign underway against Croatia. Let's talk about their opponents. They're pretty familiar ones for England. They played them 10 times since 2000. Only Germany and Italy are more common opponents. England have won 6 of the games, drawn 1 and lost 3. Connor, you were on the bench for the game against them in the group stages of the Euros. Is that right? I just wonder if there's a sense of history when you're taking on Croatia. Is there that sense almost of a, not quite a club rivalry, but you know that it's a team that the country has faced a lot of times before?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think the lads will be thinking about that game. They'll know about that game. We're seeing a lot of similar players for Croatia as well. Listen, I heard before Luka Modric is 199 caps. That is remarkable, isn't it? When we're talking about caps itself, let's just give a little bit of credit there because that is absolutely unbelievable. But we're still talking about world-class players here. Luka Modric is unbelievable. Perisic on left wing-back, Vardiol left centre-back. So we're seeing some really... This isn't going to be an easy game for England, and England will know that. They'll look back to them games that they've had in the past. They'll know they've played against the team quite a lot of times, and like you said, it'll feel a little bit like a club rivalry because they've played them so many times, but it's a good game for England. I mean, I'm looking forward to the game because I think it's 2 quality sides, and I just hope we come out on top.
And given the amount of times that they've played them, no surprise that you've played against Croatia too as well, Paul. That was in Euro qualifying.
Yeah, let's hope Jordan Pickford does slightly better than I did in that game, I think, a long time ago.
I wasn't going to raise it, Paul.
It had to come up at some point, didn't it? I mean, they're a regular opponent, aren't they, as we know? And this is a generation that's going to have a generational change after this World Cup. There's a lot of players for Croatia that it will possibly be their last international and definitely their last World Cup finals for some of them. But there's so much quality in there, and they're a team that know how to manage their way through games. They've taken England deep at times into extra time, and we've seen this Croatia side go deep. They're a strong, experienced side. They'll be difficult to play against. I don't expect this game to be an open, expansive one. I think it's the most difficult game in the group for England, but they're obviously playing in the perfect conditions to play that game inside this tournament, this stadium.
There's been a couple of games where England have played Croatia that will really sting, Steph. And one is the Wally and the Brolly game, which is the one that ended Steve McLaren's tenure as England boss. That was when they were eliminated from qualification for Euro 2008. And the other one was the 2-1 defeat in the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. Do you think that will spur the players on? Well, particularly the most recent one, because there are a couple of those players still in the squad.
Yeah, I think because we came so close to getting through, and I think in terms of performance, I don't think we were outplayed by Croatia in that game specifically. But this is a different England team. I think this is world-class players that are used to playing under great pressure, and I think that's not to take anything away from Croatia because of the players that we've mentioned. I think you speak about Modric, 40 years old, but ultimately in terms of experience and knowing the game, he knows better than anybody in this tournament how to play that midfield role, and it's going to be such a tough game for England. But hopefully that kind of night where we got beat 2-1, does that really spur people on? I think it spurs a lot of the fans on, so hopefully it spurs on the boys tonight.
And 3 of those players will be starting this evening. Harry Kane, Stones and Pickford. Rashford and Henderson, the 2 players who were still in the squad but aren't playing or aren't starting this evening. John, you've been speaking to the Croatian journalist Damir Ramić-Kovacic about Croatia. What was he saying?
He was talking, we were discussing, is this a group which for them is one tournament too far, or is this going to be a glorious finish for all of these experienced players? And, say Modric and Perisic and Mario Pasalic as well in the starting lineup for this match. I think interesting, he's gone with a bit of half and half. Kovacic, Kramaric and Ante Budimir on the bench. And what Luka Modric was saying last night and what Damir was saying to me was there is a great deal of promise in amongst the young players that they have. So the feeling is, the hope is that it's going to be, you know, that classic mix of youth and experience. And I think the choice of 19-year-old Luka Vuskovic, the young Tottenham central defender, is a really big call to play him. I think he'll play in the middle of the back three with Gvardiol to his left and Schüttelo to the right. And, you know, he's had such a good season on loan with Hamburg. And Zlatko Dalic, the coach, has decided, yeah, that's good enough for me, you're in the team.
It does seem, John, as though there's a big split between... There don't seem to be many players, I know there are in the squad, but in the starting lineup who are in their sort of late 20s. It tends to be early 20s or players in their 30s.
Yeah, and that's what Luka Modric was talking up last night, you know, saying how good these young players are. And, you know, they've had a couple of golden generations, haven't they? And actually, when you look at it, you know, in terms of the last 30 years, really since Croatia moved away, split up, got independence from the former Yugoslavia, you know, let's not forget, Croatia's World Cup record is better than England's is. Semi-finalists, runners-up in the last two World Cups, semi-finalists back in 1998. And, you know, they've gone through It's incredible how a country of around about 4 million people is able to produce these really great players, and most of them have come up through Croatia and played in scenarios whereby, you know, they have nothing like the facilities and the kind of conditions that you'll find in the Premier League academies.
And they're also, of course, keeping that continuity by having former internationals in the coaching setup that's filled with former Croatian internationals. So that's what's facing England this evening. Noni Madueke, though, for England, makes his first World Cup start. And I spoke to him about his time in the England camp so far.
I feel like as soon as everyone stepped on camp, we were super locked in. It's gone pretty quickly, I'd say, in the build-up. We've been focused on ourselves, and I think we're in a really good position to start the tournament in a great manner. Blessed and grateful to be here. It's a World Cup, biggest stage, biggest sporting competition. We've been watching everyone, and where we're ready to go now. It's exciting.
Coming into the start of the tournament, after the end of season that you've had, winning the Premier League, getting to the Champions League final, going out and having that parade, does that make you more keen to get everything started again? Does that give you momentum to take into the World Cup?
Yeah, it was a bittersweet end. We won the Premier League, obviously, but then losing in the final. Losing in finals is horrible, so I hope that when we get to the final this time round, we win.
His path has been really interesting because he's a player who gets quite a mixed reception from England fans, and particularly because he's coming in for Bukayo Saka, who may or may not be at 100% fitness at the moment.
Yeah, and of course when you're starting ahead of Bukayo Saka and his England career that he has had so far, I think any England fan would put him in your starting lineup, but because of Saka's fitness issues, I think it does make sense for Madueke to start. And I think, of course, this season's probably been a little bit more of a breakthrough season for him. Obviously got that move to Arsenal, won the Premier League, and he's played a big part in that. But he's also, when he has played for England, I feel as though he has took his chances, and it's big shoes to fill, isn't it, when you're trying to replace Saka, who's been so productive for England over this many years. But I think he played well in the last friendly. I think obviously he missed that chance where he could have maybe, when he rounded the keeper, just use your right foot and just put it in the back of the net. But hopefully he doesn't miss them opportunities tonight.
That's the problem, Paul, and you'll know this as a goalkeeper more than anyone else. It's those moments that can stick in the supporters' memories. Doesn't matter what you do for the rest of the game. If they decide they're going to hook in on one moment in one friendly, that sometimes can be the brush that you're tarred with.
Yeah, and I think the one thing is that it's the moments that stick in the manager's memory are the most important things. Yes, it's very, very difficult when you've got the sets of supporters against you, but when Madueke played against Serbia earlier this season, when we went out there and covered the game and they won by 5, and he was a huge part of that team. There was some big names missing out of that side at the time, and he came into an England side, and that was the time where Thomas Tuchel said to the press, he said, I told you, this is what I've been seeing in training. I knew this type of performance was coming, and since then Thomas Tuchel's always liked him and always trusted him. And England, obviously, as we know, they went on to an 8 out of 8 qualifiers, not conceding, and he was a part of that. But then you look at his Arsenal record this season. He only started 16 Premier League games, 43 appearances in total, but actually only 16 Premier League starts. 8 goals and 4 assists for him. So the productivity maybe not necessarily isn't there all the time, but he is a player that Thomas Tuchel trusts, and he's another good option to have in the squad, because they're obviously going to have to manage Saka's minutes because of this injury he's carrying.
John, was that performance against Serbia in general, and Bajmad Weke in particular, was that a turning point in Tuchel's thinking, do you think?
Yeah, I do. I think that really Thomas Tuchel has based his squad selection on that squad and the squad that delivered for him in September, October, November, and produced that. And I know people will say, look at the standard and the quality of the opposition, and certainly Serbia weren't in a great place at the time. However, England played well, and I think it was more than that. You know, I remember speaking to him before that match, after the match, how he was, how he felt, what he said about how it had all worked together. And I think that's been a large part of the reason. He's really leaned on those performances and the players in the autumn at the expense of the other big names that we know who aren't here.
Lots of big names then who aren't there, but one of the ones who is and starts this evening is John Stones. Despite the fact that he's featured in just 9 Premier League matches for Manchester City this season, he's been reflecting on his journey to the World Cup.
I've been fit pretty much all season, a little part of it from December and Jan. I feel really good, obviously not as played as much as I would have liked. I just wanted to make sure that I was available and able to play a part, whatever I've been doing at club and always fighting for my spot. That's always in my nature.
Did you ever think that there was a chance you might not be here?
Every time I've thought there's a tournament, there's a squad, I'm always so nervous for that call or that text. I love being here, I think that goes without saying, but yeah, when I got the call off the manager, I think he saw the kid inside of me again, and how I reacted. I couldn't really, control myself. It was just pure joy coming out of me, and I think that's one of the qualities that he loves is how raw this group can be. How as players we are very emotional and show that, and how much it means to us all.
By your own admission, you said then you haven't played as much football as you'd have liked, despite being fit. Where are you in terms of from your best, the best John Stones?
I think I'm there or thereabouts, definitely. Especially after the 2 games in the heat, and especially after the win against Costa Rica in how we all played individually and collectively. And I'm just excited. I'm ready to go now.
That was John Stones talking to Kelly Summers. Before we get into the kind of technicalities of why he's been chosen to start this game, John Murray, just give us an idea of how Thomas Tuchel thinks of John Stones.
Yeah, he holds him in the very highest regard. I think we knew that at the end of last season. Remember when we went to Barcelona, when England played Andorra there, and they had a bit of a camp, a bit of a get-together, and I think that formed a big part of his thinking as well, even though the performances weren't there in June last year against Andorra and then that friendly against Senegal in Nottingham. But getting back to the question, what he did was he asked John Stones to come along, which he did, unhesitatingly. Stones went and was a part of that, even though there was no chance of him playing in those matches. And all the way through, he's underlined the importance of John Stones, who, let's not forget as well, he has started in every match at every World Cup and European Championship since the start of World Cup 2018, just like Jordan Pickford as well, incidentally. So this will be his 27th consecutive start at major international tournaments, and I think it's also what he brings. We talk about the why certain people are in the squad. Why is Jordan Henderson here? Why is Dan Burn here? And John Stones is part of that group as well, a character that Thomas Tuchel wants in his World Cup squad.
John, what's happened? Why has the noise level just gone up?
I think we saw the group that lead the cheerleaders just sort of taking centre stage. So there was a bit of excitement for that. So we got another flash of blinding white teeth there, and they're also showing a sequence of great moments from Croatia's World Cup history, of course, of which there are many, and the Croatian supporters very much enjoyed that. Maybe it was because they stopped singing Sweet Caroline early.
It might be just that they've cut that song a little bit early. So just over 50 minutes to go then until kick-off. We're talking about the defensive selection that Thomas Tuchel has made, with John Stones in instead of Mark Gahey. If it just came down to the numbers, this wouldn't be the choice that it came down to. But there's more to it than that.
Of course there is, Kelly. And there's more to choices within football every single week. Whenever you see a team, there'll be more to choices than just who's it the biggest numbers or who's it. It's what John Stones brings. I love his temperament. Listen, what we've got to remember is we've got to keep John Stones fit for hopefully 6 weeks. That's what we've got to do. And for me, when he's fit, he's one of the best in the world. I really do believe that. I think he's an incredible footballer. I've just mentioned there his temperament and how he plays and how he can control a game from the back and his quality on the ball. But not just that, he's a proper defender. We're talking about a proper defender. And John mentioned there about the World Cup games and major tournament games he's played in. He's an unbelievable asset to England. So we have to have him playing. For me, we have to have him playing. We mentioned before about if there's something up with Gay, but if it's between Stones and Gay, it then becomes hard because they're both phenomenal footballers. But Stones brings so much to this team and to this squad. And I think for playing, it's an absolute banker for me having John Stones in too.
What do you mean by his temperament?
Everything, he's always so calm. He takes everything in his stride. Nothing's too big or nothing's too small. He's never too high or too low. I think what he brings to a squad, what he brings to a dressing room, what he brings to camp itself is unbelievable. And that's not even touching on how good of a footballer he is. I truly believe he's one of the best in the world when he's firing on all cylinders. And he just mentioned there he thinks he's close to his best. I hope he is, because I absolutely love watching him and I want him to be at his best for his country this evening.
So does that temperament then, does that bring out the best in the rest of the players? Does that bring, I mean, it's similarly to how you described Harry Kane and saying that his drive and his mentality then knocks onto the other players. Does John Stones' calm spread its way through?
Yeah, and I'm sure the guys will tell you, Paul and Steph, as well, about having them players within the squad, not just the quality that they bring. We'll talk about that all day long, but what they bring for a squad. You have to have leaders within that squad. You have to have players who've been and done it for years and years and years, and there's not many players in that squad who've done it for as long as him. And we're talking about his fitness issues, and we're talking about he's played 9 games this season or whatever it is. We need him fit for 6 weeks. Keep him fit for 6 weeks, and he's our best centre half. In my eyes, I think he can be that good, and I truly believe he's one of the best in the world when we've got him firing.
And maybe, only having had those 9 games so far this season for Manchester City, Steph, maybe that means that he's more likely to stay fit for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, of course. I think I look at it a different way. I think I understand in terms of the argument in games this season, but I think once that season finishes, the boys have had 3 weeks to get up to the level that Thomas Tuchel needs them to be, and you've got players like Declan Rice, Saka, that have needed that little bit of a rest to then get back to the level that is needed because of the seasons that they both have had. So I'm a big fan of John Stones, and I think for me, the thing that when he speaks, I want him to have more confidence in himself, because when we speak about someone like Jordan Pickford that's played every single game and every single minute in the last 4 tournaments, he needs to believe how important he is to this team. And whenever I got asked, should John Stones play, I'm like 100%, no matter what level he is, how many games he's played. And I think the question mark was whether it was going to be Konsa or Gay rather than Stones. I think in my eyes, I think Tuchel holds him in that much high regard that he wants him starting regardless. And I think you can tell by the journey that John's been on, that's how he thinks of him.
And the other thing that's going to be important tonight, Paul, is his relationship with Ezri Konsa and, of course, with Jordan Pickford. So who would you want playing in front of you?
Any of the above, I think. And I think that's the problem that Thomas Tuchel had. I mean, obviously it's going to have to be 2 from 3. And I think 6 months ago we all thought it was going to be Mark Gay with another, and it hasn't turned out that way. And I think John Stones falls into the bracket of the experience. You know, you talk about there's one thing that I've looked at coming into this tournament. It's okay, the amount of caps that you've got as an England player, but how many competitive caps have you got? How many caps in competition have you got? And then when you look at John Stones, he's got 89 caps, 65 of them are in competitive games, 12 of them at World Cup finals and 14 of them in the Euros finals. And then you look through the team, Jordan Pickford similar, Declan Rice similar, Jude Bellingham got 37 competitive caps, and then Harry Kane. That spine of the team is something that I really think he's focused on, to have that experience and that type of leadership, not only in the dressing room but on the field as well.
And the other thing that we believe that England have been focusing on is set pieces, which have been huge. So this season in particular, they're always important, but they've been huge this season. Do you think that's something, Steph, that's come into Thomas Tuchel's thinking in terms of his defensive selection?
Yeah, without a doubt, because I think in terms of that back 4, you look at Reece James, you look at O'Reilly, great height, you look at Konsa, you look at Stones. I think the height in general throughout the whole team is good there, and it's for defensive reasons. I think with Pickford as well at that same time, we're very strong in that area. We always have been in the last few tournaments, but also from an attacker point of view, we've got some great set piece takers. I mean, Declan Rice is probably up there in one of the best in the world. I remember when Harry Kane used to take corners in 2018, which is mad to say. You want him in the box, so now we have that opportunity to really have a threat from different parts of the game, and set pieces is going to be so crucial in this tournament.
Noni Madueke was saying it in a longer version of the interview that we heard from him earlier on, that this is something that they have been focusing on, that this is something that is going to be really important. Now, obviously, he has the Arsenal experience of that and how important they've been to their title-winning season. But particularly as we keep harking back to in a tournament like this, with these conditions, with the heat, with the humidity, with maybe the stresses that puts on the players, and the way that hampers their ability to give it everything for 90 minutes. It could be even more important, Conor.
Yeah, and it's obviously been highlighted this year, Kelly, because of Arsenal and because of the goals they've scored and all these sorts of things. So we're obviously highlighting it, but this has been a massive thing for England over the years. I remember when I was there a few years ago, it was huge. We'd do set-piece meetings for ages, just going through defensive set plays, attacking set plays, what are your roles, what are your responsibilities. And now when we're looking at this England team, they're in an even better place, because Steph's just mentioned it there about the quality of the takers. A set piece, an attacking set piece especially, is all about the quality of the takers. If the quality is right, we then have players to go and attack that ball and score, and it's a huge part of the game. It's just been highlighted this year because of Arsenal.
10 minutes to go until kick-off in England's first game of the 2026 World Cup. Let's hear from Thomas Tuchel. He spoke to John yesterday.
This is a first for you, isn't it? First to be involved in a World Cup. And I just wonder, when you were maybe 12 years old, whether you would have thought all these years later, managing at a World Cup, managing England at a World Cup.
There was no chance I could think that far. This was not even a dream, was too far away. Now I'm very proud, and I had fantastic 16 days within the federation with my closest staff and with the players. So we feel ready to go. Now you arrive in the playing venue, you arrive in Dallas, you see the fans outside the stadium. This is where the excitement really kicks in, because you feel, okay, now it really starts, what you prepared for. But to say it is a dream come true it is true, but when I was 12 years old, or even 22 years old or whatever, there was no such thing that I could realistically dream to be the head coach of England. So it is amazing. I'm very proud of it, and incredible experience.
And I feel duty bound to ask you before the first match, what do you think the chances are of putting another star on the England shirt?
Well, we will try. We will compete for it, and the responsibility is in the effort. I think no one expects us to guarantee that. No one, because we cannot guarantee it. We don't know what the outcome is. We need luck and on the way. If we want to go all the way, and the responsibility is on the effort and on the courage that we show, and this starts in group stage, and this is where the focus is.
John Murray, you've interviewed him a lot, Thomas Tuchel, since he was appointed as England manager. Is World Cup Tuchel a different feel?
Yeah, I think he had a bit of a game face on last night. And I think as well, it was still relatively recently after losing Tino Livramento. So I think he wanted to reflect that as well. I don't think he wanted to be too buoyant. But, this is why he was employed. This is why the FA have taken him on. The remit was very clear. We're taking you on. At that time, it was just going to be a one hit, wasn't it? Win the World Cup or not, and you're off. But we now know that he will stay a little longer than that, I suppose, depending on what happens over the course of the next few weeks. We'll see. But he certainly signed the contract to 2008. But he loves a little bit of wordplay. He loves to use the English language and crack the odd little joke. But he was quite serious last night.
Steph Houghton and Conor Cody are here in the studio. We'll be back with them at half-time and in full-time at this game that's taking place this evening in Dallas. It's England against Croatia. England about to get their World Cup campaign underway in the company of Paul Robinson and John Murray.
Well, thank you very much, Kelly. Welcome, everyone, to Texas. And the teams are walking out this elaborate pre-match routine for this World Cup. So we have the massive flag. I'm sure you'll have seen this on the television. The massive flag of Croatia on the pitch to the right of the halfway line. And then the cross of St George down to the left. And finally, Harry Kane leading England out on the last possible day at this World Cup. And he's led the team and the other squad members around the centre circle. That FIFA World Cup 2026 map with the globe in the middle covers the centre circle, and they're just about lined up now, ready for the start of the anthems. The presence here of both England and Croatia fans inside the stadium is remarkable, really, given everything, given the cost of the tickets, the cost of getting here, the cost of staying here. It is almost full of England and Croatia fans, and you will hear very loudly these anthems. Thomas Tuchel said when he was asked yesterday he wouldn't be singing the anthem. He said, not yet, not till the end. So now,
Please
Croatia.
Standing if you are able for the national anthem of Croatia.
As I look down to my right, so many of those famous red and white checkered shirts of Croatia. Such a great recent history between England and Croatia on the football field, but never in a setting like this. It is a remarkable place. We were here, Paul Robinson and I, for the Netherlands-Japan game the other evening, but it is, for those who don't know, it's completely enclosed, this stadium, so they are playing indoors. The retractable roof, the see-through roof, is closed, but it is such an airy, wide, open stadium. We can see the Lone Star of Georgia on the Texas on the concourse to my right, and you can see out of the stadium, you can see the rolling Texas countryside. To the left, I can see through the windows the home of the Texas Rangers baseball team. And it is air-conditioned, it is a temporary grass pitch, and the air conditioning, we are told, is level at round about 22 degrees. So the heat outside is not a factor. So the flags have been tidied away from the pitch, and the England players, who will be in white for this match, white shirts, white shorts, white socks, are just getting together for their team photograph. And this is the team that will play for England in the first match at World Cup 2026. Jordan Pickford in goal, Reece James, Esri Konsa, John Stones and Nico O'Reilly. Then Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice, Noni Madueke, Jude Bellingham, Anthony Gordon and Harry Kane. So no place in the team yet for Bukayo Saka with the Achilles problem he's got. Mark Gay, Morgan Rogers, Marcus Rashford, Eberici Eze, they are all substitutes. And the Croatia team, they're in blue for this match, the all blue kit with the white trim. Dominik Livakovic is their goalkeeper. Three central defenders, Šutalo, Vuskovic and Gvardiol of Manchester City. Then the right wing back, Josip Stanisic, who plays with Harry Kane at Bayern Munich. Then Luka Modric, who played with Harry Kane at Tottenham, 199th cap for him. Petar Sucic is the number 17, the 22-year-old from Inter. And then Ivan Perisic, another former teammate of Harry Kane's, winning his 155th cap as the left wing back. Then Martin Baturina, Mario Pasalic, former Chelsea youngster, and the FC Dallas striker Petar Musa up front. So Paul Robinson, the stage is set.
And it's some stage. It really is some stage. It's very difficult to put into words this fantastic arena. We travel the world having played and covered games all over the world, that you walk into stadiums like this and it really does take your breath away. It was impressive here during the week for Japan and the Netherlands, but this is something else with the England fans packed inside here. It's an incredible occasion, and as a player it's very, very hard to keep your emotions in check. I remember our first game of the World Cup, lining up for the anthems all arm in arm, and the emotion, the nerves, the pressure, the tension, you have to control that in this situation, and that's a big test for these England players.
Declan Rice all alone in the centre circle. England will kick off. He's juggling the ball up and down and then places it on the spot. And finally, the moment has come. On the 7th day, England are finally getting a piece of the action. This Group L, the last of the 12 groups to swing into action, and England are ready to go. Declan Rice will get the first touch of this World Cup for England. In the first half, they are going to play from left to right, as England once again try to do what they last did in 1966. This is the 12th World Cup Finals tournament England have been to over those now 60 years of hurt. And Declan Rice gets the first touch of the ball. He plays the ball all the way back to Jordan Pickford, who is all in yellow. Pickford, left-footed, launches a ball to the edge of the Croatia penalty area, where it is headed away. Madueke is onto this, but the ball deflects out of play off Jude Bellingham, and it's a throw to Croatia on the edge of their own box.
Yeah, we see that quite often from England. They always go long from the kick-off, and I think it's a tactic that they will use in this tournament. Yes, they will look to play out through the back to break the lines, like we like to talk about, and play the ideal way through the lines. But actually with Jordan Pickford, they've got a goalkeeper who can distribute long and accurate.
John Stones chases after a ball and passes it back to Jordan Pickford, who is chased after by Petr Musa. There's a bit of debate about whether he would play up front for Czech Republic or Budimir, Ante Budimir of Osasuna, who's another of the experienced heads. But Zlatko Dalic has gone with Petr Musa, who has done very well this year and last year for FC Dallas, not far from here. Ball's played back to Pickford and by Elliot Anderson. And now Pickford again passing the ball out from the back over to Nico O'Reilly, who gets his first touch over there on the left-hand side, plays it back into the penalty area, and a little awkwardly John Stones under pressure. The Croatia press is on. England clear it only partly away, and then actually there's a little slip there as it was played back, and it's a cheap corner that's been conceded for England, the first corner of the match, and really that's a present for Croatia.
Yeah, Elliot Anderson got himself in a real mess there. They were trying to overplay England. John Stones, who was the guilty party at the time, played it back to Jordan Pickford, who in turn played out to Elliot Anderson, who was in a really difficult spot. He'd initially done well and tracked his runner into the box to win possession back, but they did try and overplay there. England caused their own problems.
Giving away a corner, an early corner for Croatia. You've just joined us on 5 Live. 0-0. First few seconds of the match. Perisic is trying to rearrange the furniture over there. He's kicking at the advertising hoarding to move it back. Perisic with the corner, swings in left-footed, and it's lifted up with a volley at the back post, which never threatened the goal, but it disappeared high over the top of the crossbar from the angle by Schutalo, the right-sided central defender.
Concerning for England, a decent free in-swinging corner from Perisic on the far side, but Schutalo found himself completely free right at the back tip of the 6-yard box. He wasn't picked up. All the England defenders were dragged towards the near post. We talked about England's attacking set plays. They should have the height to defend the set plays. I think there's only Reece James and Elliot Anderson in this side who are under 6 foot, so it is an option that they can use at both ends.
Nico O'Reilly wins a free kick after the wins a throw in after the England goal kick. Nico O'Reilly, who's making his first appearance at a World Cup. In fact, there's a whole host of them. Ezri Konsa, as Pickford just passing it out. O'Reilly, James, Anderson, Gordon, Madueke. This for all of them is their first match at a World Cup Finals tournament. Great moment in your career, but England have lost it again, and Perisic now down the left plays it into the penalty area, but Rice is there with the cover, and then Rice can't get it away either. This is excellent pressing from Croatia. England have barely been out of their own half so far.
Yeah, it's a really good press, but from England's point of view, you don't keep doing what's not working. You know, it's early on in the games, your nerves are at play. You know, you don't put the ball at risk in those type of areas. Put the ball in an area higher up the field, miss the press, and then try and play further up to start the game. Wait till the game settles.
That's Paul Robinson, England World Cup goalkeeper, 41 caps. We're watching the Arsenal man, Noni Madueke, in the side with Bukayo Saka only on the bench for this opening match. Noni Madueke says a Premier League winner. 15 of this England squad have won trophies this season, and indeed 22 of them since the start of last season. Madueke plays it in field. He was looking for the run of Bellingham, but that was overhit, misplaced. Madueke wins it back though. Here is Kane in the deep line position, passes the ball forward, looking for the run from Anthony Gordon, now of Barcelona of course, keeping his Barcelona teammate Marcus Rashford. If he is to be that on a permanent basis, we'll see. Out of the team for this opening game. And Croatia clear it away from the back. This is a long one through the middle for Musa to chase. Pickford's come a long way and just gets there with his left foot to slice the kick and the clearance towards the halfway line.
Really good piece of goalkeeping from Jordan Pickford, who's alert, who's alive. His initial starting position was what allowed him to read that through ball. It was an excellent reading of the through ball. At first it looked like he'd gone too early, but he made the right decision, got there and got the clearance in for England. Good piece of goalkeeping from Jordan Pickford.
England 0, Croatia 0. Yes, Pickford and Stones in the starting lineup, as they were throughout World Cup 2018, Euro 2020, then World Cup 22, Euro 2024, and now starting the first match here at World Cup 26. England winning it back. Elliot Anderson, Jude Bellingham behind him actually applauds that. And that's what he's been so effective at, Elliot Anderson, since coming into the England team at the start of this season and making himself an automatic selection.
Yeah, they've needed somebody to put the foot in early, England. They've struggled to keep possession. The retention of the ball hasn't been good. Turnover of possession has been quick in this early stage, and the referee has probably set his stall out already. That's one or two challenges he's let go, so Elliot Anderson thought, do you know what, I'll put my foot in the middle of the park, and it was a good challenge.
Yeah, Clement Turpin, whose selection caused a bit of discussion because he once sent Thomas Tuchel off 3 years ago in a Champions League match, but he's refereed Tuchel, he's refereed most of these players. He's one of the top referees in Europe, and here he is refereeing this match.
2 yellow cards against Manchester City, wasn't it, in the Champions League game? He was quite complimentary about the referee last night, though, wasn't he?
Well,
it wasn't quite reversed, but he was very pleasant.
Yeah, top referee, he called him. Not top. England, Croatia, level at 0-0. England 6 minutes into their campaign after the long wait. And England with the ball at the back, the central defensive partnership. Stones playing on the left, Konza on the right of the two centre-backs. And Mark Gay watching on the bench behind Thomas Tuchel, who is standing way down there. It's such a high stadium, this, from pitch level to the roof. Here is Rice underneath that big screen which hangs above the centre circle. Declan Rice onto his right foot, then playing it here to Elliot Anderson. Anderson of Nottingham Forest, although all the talk seems to be that he will be moving to Manchester City this summer. Elliot Anderson, the 23-year-old former Newcastle man. Here's Reece James, very much first choice for Thomas Tuchel as the right back. James going back into his own half. Reece James, 25th cap tonight for him, as the ball is played through by Elliot Anderson looking for Kane. Bounces off, and Anderson's onto this as well, middle of the half. England fans interested. Madueke on the right. First time into the penalty area for him. Madueke lays it back to James. Little ball in, took a deflection which clipped it high across the penalty area. Kane gets it down and shoots. Fire a deflection which took it wide of the goal by 6 or 7 yards. And a corner to England there first.
First real good piece of play from England, creates a chance down the wide areas. I think that's where England are going to get most of their joy, you know, with Madueke down the right and Anthony Gordon on the left. With Croatia playing this back five, they're going to have to move the ball wisely, cleverly and quickly, and that was a good piece of play from Madueke down the right.
So Declan Rice is going to take the corner from the right. It's unusual, actually. Normally with Arsenal we'd see Madueke or Saka swinging it in, but it's Rice with an outswinger from the right-hand side for England's first corner of the tournament. Set pieces, you'd think, be so important. Rice plays it in, attempt by Konza to head it down. That was blocked. Oh, a high challenge on the edge of the penalty area. It's a penalty to England. The ball bounced high. The Croatian foot came up. It might have been Modric, you know, who put that challenge in on Madueke. It was sort of round about his midriff. Oh yeah, high foot, he caught him on the thigh. Madueke deflected it into the penalty area, went down. Referee Turpin pointed to the spot.
Absolute stonewall penalty for England. It's a brilliant start. This is an opportunity for England and Harry Kane. It was one of those, Luka Modric had his back to Madueke. He didn't realise that the England player was arriving. He swung his leg at the ball to clear it, not knowing the England man was there. Madueke got there first. Modric made contact with Madueke instead of the football, and the referee's absolutely right. Penalty for England.
We're in the 9th minute, and a glorious opportunity for England to take the lead. Harry Kane has got World Cup penalty history, though, remember. 4 years ago in Qatar, don't forget what happened to that penalty, if you can, against France in the quarter-finals. So now here we are, 4 years on. Penalty to England. Inevitably, it's Harry Kane. After his brilliant season of his life with Bayern Munich, Kane stands 1 foot in front of the other and then comes up, a little delayed save by Livakovic, diving down to his left, and Livakovic is surrounded by his teammates, and Harry Kane fails at the World Cup from the penalty spot.
It's not his usual standard, Harry Kane. The referee's just putting his hand to his ear, though, whether the goalkeeper moved early or not. We hope for England's sake they're going to get a lifeline, but they are checking it on VAR.
Oh, it is being checked.
It was a stuttering run-up from Harry Kane. His usual stance, not his usual, necessarily his smooth run-up.
Oh, it's a quick decision here. There's the rectangle in the air. I think it's going to be retaken. We're just waiting to hear now from Clement Turpin.
Goalkeeper is out of the line. Final decisions, penalty, retaken.
It's going to be retaken. That is very tight.
Oh, I tell you what, looking at this replay, John, that goalkeeper, he looks like his back foot might still be in contact with the line, but the VAR will have better angles than we've got. But what a reprieve this is for England and Harry Kane. He's going to retake it. Surely it's going to be him that does it again. What an opportunity for him now. Very unlucky for the goalkeeper. We're talking millimetres if he was.
His heel was probably raised off the line. But even so, we're just seeing a replay. Yeah, he's clearly.
He is. What is he? He's about 3 inches up the front of the line.
I'm saying that in that frame that we've seen, the ball is already on its way.
It's close.
That is very
close. The ball's on its way, but listen, thank you, VAR. Thank you very much. We'll take that one. 10 minutes into the game. Let's have another go, please.
VAR for England fans. All is forgiven. Right, here we go. Second time round. Retaken penalty. Harry Kane waits now. Still we wait. Starts the run up, right-footed, sends it in. This time, the ball goes one way, Livakovic goes to his right, the other way, and England score. England take the lead in the 12th minute. And Harry Kane and Thomas Tuchel and his team are off and running at World Cup 2026. England 1, Croatia 0. Who scores the first goal? Harry Kane.
That's better, Harry. That's how you take them. Same side, same run-up, same strike, but a lot better contact. Deep into the bottom left-hand corner. Goalkeeper tried to read him. He thought he'd change his way, go the other side. He didn't. He stayed cool, calm and confident, stuck with the same technique, better execution, and England won up early in this game.
And the England players just returning to the halfway line. Well, that's quite a let-off. A retaken penalty. But that, for the record, makes it 68 goals for club and country this season. It extends his record to 16 goals at either World Cup or European Championship finals tournaments. It's his 9th goal at the World Cup, as the ball is played back to Livakovic, who had to be quick. So Gary Lineker now holds that England record of scoring at World Cups by 10 goals to 9. And it is also his 12th goal in his last 13 England appearances. Not the first time he scored the first goal for England at a World Cup. He did that for Gareth Southgate against Tunisia back in 2018. But that's the ideal settler for England after a nervy moment or two.
And you can put another stat in your book, John, because it's just flashed up on the big screen that penalty went in at 122 kilometres per hour.
Ooh, Madueke, who won the penalty, was almost released there by the pass from inside the England half. And also his 80th goal for England for the record scorer on the day that he wins his 115th cap, which makes him 3rd on the all-time appearance list, equal with David Beckham. Right, I think that's enough numbers.
Well, I think it's a settler for England, though, isn't it? I think it was a lively start. The ball was getting changed possession over very, very quickly. Both teams were trying to press, and neither had any real sustained spells of pressure. Whereas that for England, you just hope that will settle the nerves now, and they'll grow into this game.
England 1, Croatia 0. After earlier, Ali Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton brought you Portugal 1, DR Congo 1. Croatia on the attack, down the right-hand side. The ball is played into the edge of the penalty. Oh, brilliant turn! On a super challenge! That is a terrific challenge. I mean, what a turn that was by Musa inside the penalty area. Dragged the ball, beat the defender, and Bellingham comes in.
He wants a pen, does Musa.
Does he think he's been fouled?
Reece James puts his arm around him.
Ooh, I'm not sure about that.
No, he's looked for that, hasn't he? He's looked for that. I know in our biased opinion we'll say that it wasn't, but I think the referee's going to look for that very quickly, and I don't think that will be contested.
And not only that, actually they've overturned the corner.
Given a goal kick.
For that matter.
It was actually good body positioning from Reece James. It was Reece James got goal side of Musa. He put his arm around him and Musa saw the opportunity. I think he realised that he'd lost possession and Bellingham was there to nick it off him, and on the replay Bellingham's challenged him and it's come off the Croatian forward.
Well, who'd have thought it? Jude Bellingham's first really meaningful contribution at this World Cup was a defensive tackle. Oh, brilliant play from Kane, takes it down in the centre circle, finds Madueke into the box, shoots across goal, but that's blocked away. Well, he really struggled there. Gvardiol, who was being taken on by Madueke, and he needed Vuskovic to come across and block it behind for a corner.
That's exactly what we talk about, Harry Kane adapting his game and dropping deeper. The England captain was almost halfway inside his own half, but when he does that, the two wingers know to get round him and get forward. With his back to Madueke, Harry Kane almost spins on a sixpence, finds the Arsenal winger, and he was in and he was away, and that's going to be a key thing for England in this World Cup. The wide players when Harry Kane drops deeper.
That was a brilliant piece of play by Madueke against Gvardiol. It was reminiscent. Do you remember Messi in the semi-final against Gvardiol, and he gave him a torrid time. Here's the corner then. Rice plays it in, headed away to the edge of the box. That's taken down. The shot from Anderson into a crowd of players, blocked back to the England midfielder, and Anderson will play it all the way back into his own half to Jordan Pickford. There's no question that goal, as it would, the penalty has settled England. After nervy early moments, throwing to England down the right.
They all of a sudden look the better team, don't they? I mean, on paper, you look at the quality that they've got. This is a tough task for them, but that goal has just given them a confidence and belief, and not necessarily a swagger, but certainly an air of confidence about them since they've gone ahead.
England taking the lead in the 12th minute through Harry Kane, and England with the ball in the central third of the field, comes back to Konza. Just got it caught up underneath his feet and then plays it back towards the edge of the penalty area. However, Croatia already in this match have shown that they are capable of causing England problems and asking questions. And Kane, who was almost back in his own defensive third here, passing the ball forward right up towards the middle of the Croatian half. I mean, he can play like this in this stadium with the air conditioning. I'm not sure whether when England get to some of the warmer, hotter venues, whether that is still going to be an option, but there again he'd probably say just try and stop me.
Yeah, well, that's clearly a passage of play that they've worked on from the goalkeeper. That was a set play. Jordan Pickford had the ball at his feet, there was nothing on, and Harry Kane was the one that dropped in to take the ball off the goalkeeper, like Declan Rice has just done now, and Jude Bellingham then he went into the space that Harry Kane had left, so it was obviously an interchange that they've worked on. 17
minutes played. 5 Live from the BBC. We've got coverage of all 104 matches, 92 of them as commentaries, either on 5 Live, BBC Sounds. Of course, there are certain moments at the end of the group where matches are played at the same time, but also for the late matches, take the radio to bed with you, BBC Sounds, listen to the commentaries in bed, and then you can catch up on all of the news in the morning on 5 Live Breakfast with Rachel Burden in the UK, Rick Edwards in California. And I also like the sound of this no spoilers coverage you'll find on the iPlayer. If you've missed the matches overnight and want to see the highlights, look out for that. England passing the ball out from the back, that's nice. O'Reilly to Rice, and Rice under pressure will find Bellingham, centre circle. Bellingham, confirmation that he was chosen in the starting lineup ahead of Morgan Rogers. But I do feel, and I asked Thomas Tuchel about this last night, that he will change his team during the course of the group matches. Bellingham with a pass forward for the run of James, but he won't reach that, and Livakovic can come out and grab it.
I think if they get a result here today, which they're obviously looking to do, that will give Tuchel the opportunity to rotate his side in the next 2 matches, given the heat, given the climate, and given the amount of games that they're going to have to play.
Yeah, he did talk about his 14 or 15 starters as Croatia win a free kick, challenge centre field on Petar Sučić, the number 17, the midfielder playing alongside Luka Modric instead of Mateo Kovacic, who we know has missed a lot of football with Manchester City this season and hasn't made the starting lineup in this team selection, which is mildly surprising.
Yeah, I mean, but like you say, you know, with the amount of games, that's going to come into every manager's thinking. If you're to go all the way to the final and to win this tournament, 8 games in 32 days.
Yep, 8 games, more games than ever before needed in a 48-team World Cup. in order to get through and win the trophy that is the ultimate goal. So Harry Kane scoring the penalty and England taking the lead after it was given away by, of all people, Luka Modric with a high foot on Noni Madueke on the edge of the box. Oh, that's excellent play from Anderson. Nicked the ball back centre field, plays it through. I think he was taken out there. Clement Turpin says no free kick. Thought that was debatable, and then Anderson himself commits a foul, and it's a free kick to Croatia halfway inside their own half. Just as he was trying to bring it away, he clipped Vuskovic, and it's a free kick.
It did look like a free kick on Elliot Anderson initially, didn't it? I think the referee let that one go. I think it was Anderson's frustration, and he returned the favour and actually got penalised.
England 1, Croatia 0. We've just seen pictures of the posh seats here in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. Who do you think's sitting next to Arsene Wenger? John Terry. Just slightly surprising. Here is Kane. Oh, Kane does well, holds it off, gives it to Bellingham. It's 2-on-2. Bellingham, he's got a long way to go. Still going Bellingham against Shootalo. Up to the edge of the penalty area. Bellingham cuts it back, and then just a heavy touch took it through to goalkeeper Livakovic.
He was unlucky there, Bellingham. He didn't run down a dead end as such. He just couldn't really get the ball out of his feet. He just got closed out of it by the Croatian defenders, but excellent counter-attacking from England on the changeover. Defence to attack very quickly, and Bellingham's got that quality.
Did you notice that, Paul?
What's that,
John Terry and Arsene Wenger deep in discussion together?
He didn't have his kit on, did he?
Now, your old teammate. Ball played out from the back for England. Pickford just drops it at the feet of Declan Rice. England leading through the Kane penalty. Harry Kane, now that's 25 penalties for England. And 25 out of 80 is a pretty high percentage, but you can't complain about that. As the ball is played back into his penalty area. And Pickford will pass it out. When he spoke to us yesterday, Kane referenced the fact himself that Mbappe had already scored twice, and he had spotted that Messi had just scored for Argentina while he was speaking to us. So he referenced that. So he's keeping tabs on all of that. Don't you worry.
Oh, he'll know, won't he? He'll absolutely know. And Haaland got his 2 yesterday as well, didn't he?
I've made a list, Paul. The players who've now scored at this World Cup. You mentioned Messi and Mbappe. Also Havertz, a couple of goals for him. Haaland, Vinicius, Jimenez, Gyökeres and Isak. And now
your favourite part of the day, John.
It's time for the hydration break. Or should I say the Powerade hydration break. So here we come. England reach the hydration break, leading by 1-0. So we're going to have a performance here in the stadium, I would very much expect, from the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. For those listening back in the UK, what you don't know is right now on American television, this is the advert break. I mean, it's totally changed the face of covering football in the United States. However, on 5 Live, instead of adverts, we can hear from Steph Houghton and Connor Cody, who are listening back in the 5 Live studio. Thoughts so far, Steph, Connor?
Positive start. I think a start that we would have dreamt of last night, to be 1-0 up with 22 minutes gone. Of course, Kane scoring that penalty, but yeah, John, I think England have been dominant so far. Croatia haven't really created anything that we've got to worry about, and yeah, hopefully we can still kick on after this hydration break.
Do you know what I love sometimes, John? I'm looking at the game, and obviously you guys are there. I think England looks sharp, and sometimes in the first group game of a World Cup, sometimes you're just getting up to speed, and sometimes the boys are just getting going, and they look sharp to me. Jude Bellingham looks sharp, getting back in, making tackles, and then going the other way on the counter-attack as well. I'm really enjoying the way England have started.
Do you think they overplayed ever so slightly at the beginning when it was slightly nervy, but then when they did get the ball into better areas, I completely agree, they looked sharper, and it was those experienced players that maybe took the decision to play the ball higher up in better areas of the field?
Yeah, and also when we spoke about Harry Kane obviously before the game and how important he is, you look him dropping in the ball from Jordan Pickford into Harry Kane's chest, or whether he's dropping all the way in and then we're seeing Jude Bellingham running behind, or Andy Gordon running behind, or Madueke running behind. I think it's really clever, and again you go back to them experienced players being on the pitch and understand it, but they'd have worked on that on the training pitch. You know what it's like, Paul, where you do things on the training pitch before the game and you stick to it, and having them players on the pitch really helps it.
Yeah, the way that the goalkeeper plays out now, they almost become a set play, don't they? When Jordan Pickford's got the ball at his feet at the edge of the box, he will have 5 or 6 different ideas of plays that will unfold in front of him to then try and play the ball into. But another thing, they're not afraid to go long, are they?
No, they're not. They're not. And I think I just think it's been a good start. I think everything about them has been good. They've put themselves in a great position, haven't they? And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next bit now.
Lovely, thanks to you two, Conor Cody and Steph Houghton, listening from afar. Players just moving back onto the field. Let me tell you as well that at the end of this match, you will be able to head to the iPlayer, and there will be further coverage, analysis, breakdown on everything that's happened. So that is on the iPlayer, the BBC iPlayer. You can watch that post-match. So, play about to resume. England leading Croatia by 1-0. In the test match, incidentally, for the second test, New Zealand 2-9 1 for 7 at the close of play. Test match special will be back on air on BBC Sounds in the morning on Sports Extra. England 1, Croatia 0. Livakovic with a goal kick to restart play. The cheerleaders, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, have left the stage. They've got their tracksuits on today. Big smiles as they wave to the crowd. The England supporters all around them at that end of the stadium. England supporters have never seen anything like that before in an England international. Ball played across the penalty area to Pickford. Pickford, couple of touches. Not under pressure right now. And then a long left-footed pass looking for Anthony Gordon. That's taken down by Shutalo. And he is able to just caress a pass back to Livakovic, who was unlucky. If you weren't listening, if you just joined us, the penalty had to be retaken because he was narrowly off his line when Harry Kane took the initial penalty that Livakovic saved, but then with the second one made no mistake. Perisic playing it back into centre field. Vuskovic, who is the Tottenham Hotspur youngster, but he's in great demand after the season that he's had with Hamburg, the number 22, mid-table in the Bundesliga, but he's created a lot of interest. Here is Modric, 199th cap, so all being well, he'll win his 200th next week in Croatia's second game against Panama, which is next Tuesday. That's when England play next against Ghana in Boston. 5 Live will be the place to listen to that as well. BBC Television as well, that match is on. Here is Gvardiol, the Manchester City man who's missed so much of this season with injury. Gvardiol just got himself fit for the end of the season, and then Croatia go all the way back to the edge of their penalty area again. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, we talk about these hydration breaks, and we do, we say about the 4 quarters, but it does actually take the flow out of the game. England were on top at that period of time. They're enjoying the best possession in the right areas, but now since the hydration break, it's taking them a while to get back into this. The Croatian manager's obviously been able to give instructions to his players, made 1 or 2 tactical tweaks, and they're pressing now in different areas. They're not letting England have the ball in the areas that they were prior to that break.
Yeah, I do understand why in very hot conditions you need that for the players' well-being. Oh, England in danger of giving it away. In fact, Kane's been dispossessed. Edge of the penalty area. Kane with a challenge on the edge of the area, and he has been fouled by Vuskovic, who is the Croatian player who was furthest forward. Yeah, I think Kane and England a little fortunate to get away with that.
He wasn't. It was a central defender that had tracked Kane all the way in, and it was actually him who dispossessed Kane. And he got himself in a really good position on the edge of the box, and he just goes over the top of the ball. They get away with one there, England.
Yes, they do. That's a couple of moments there. Thomas Tuchel will have noted that. There'll be words about that at half-time, or indeed in the aftermath of this match. But England have it again at the back. John Stones out towards the left-hand side. Comes back from O'Reilly to John Stones on the right foot. Long downfield. Croatia are the best team that England have played so far under Thomas Tuchel in now what is his 15th match, and I mean in terms of the world rankings. But when England have come up, they breezed through qualifying, winning all of the matches, didn't concede a goal. But against the better teams, admittedly in the friendly internationals, against Senegal and Japan and Uruguay, they've not won any of them. And now here they are. But the difference is this is a competitive match, as Thomas Tuchel was saying yesterday. Ball is headed away, but comes back to Croatia. Perisic wants it on the left-hand side, and he's been given the pass, although he had to just chase after it, and so England had a chance to get back into position. Half an hour played here in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. Vuskovic was thinking about a shot actually from 40 yards, plays it out to the right hand side. Stanisic up against Anthony Gordon. Stanisic footed cross into the penalty area. Bellingham is there to head it away. Comes out to Luka Modric, middle of the England half. Using all of that time, Luka Modric takes it down. 40 years old, 41 in September. So he's playing at his 5th World Cup. Luka Modric, what an achievement. I don't think he'll be around in 4 years' time to maybe match the record of Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. And Ochoa as well, the Mexican goalkeeper who's been to 6 World Cups. But what an incredible achievement that is. The Croatian supporters in great voice with their team inside the England half. And England, since the water break, have not been able to get going again. Sučić, Petar Sučić, his cousin is in the squad as well. Then it's Gvardiol, Sučić, back to Vuskovic, and then across to Šutalo, the right-sided central defender. It's a heavy touch by Stanisic, and that means England are back in possession. Jude Bellingham is able to flick it through to Gordon. Rice makes the run, slightly behind him. Kane rolls a pass to Madueke. Madueke up against Guardiola, goes for the early ball, and Bellingham arriving on the edge of the 6-yard box, in between 2 defenders. Couldn't get a touch. The ball disappeared over to the far side. I'm not sure it's gone out of play yet. And Bellingham's ended up gone down clutching his ankle. Actually, the ball didn't go out of play, so it's played forward. And Bellingham, I think he's okay. He's back on his feet.
It's a brilliant passage of play once again from England. Spent a lot of time without the ball in that situation in the game. But again, it was Harry Kane who dropped in, and it was the wide player Madueke out on his right-hand side. Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, Anthony Gordon, they all had a really good, quick interchange. And Madueke, that time, he chose to play the ball into the box early, right round the back of the defensive line, in between the defence and the goalkeeper. And Bellingham just couldn't quite get there. It was a really good ball from Madueke.
Great variation from Madueke there. Got it in early, went for the early ball, and Bellingham wasn't far away from getting a touch, as Anderson has just leaned into, wins a free kick 10 yards inside his own half.
Yeah, when they play with belief like that, England, they look very strong. There's a really good interchange of passes before that, and a swift ball out to Madueke. It's clearly a move that they've worked on very, very often, with Kane dropping in and the players getting in advance of him in behind.
Bellingham comes deep again. Mentioned the 15 players who've won medals this season. One of the players who hasn't is the Real Madrid man, Jude Bellingham. Although I don't think he'll be waiting for too much longer for the next one. He'll be hoping it's going to come this summer. There's a foul on O'Reilly just inside the Croatia half. Free kick to England.
Yeah, big screens just flashed up attempts on goal. The stats: England 6 to Croatia's 1. Jordan Pickford's been fairly underemployed. I think Croatia have looked better since the water break, because they're pressing in different areas, not allowing England comfortable possession. But then as soon as England do get the ball, the Croatians playing with this back 5, they do sit off. And when England move the ball quickly and pull them out of position and get Madueke down the side and Gordon down the side, that's where they look at the best. But at times, when they are like they are in this situation in the game, they're going to have to be patient and try and pick holes.
England 1, Croatia 0. A long one from Pickford, headed forward from Croatia. Rice is in there, but Croatia in possession, and Stanisic just keeps it in, but then is challenged by O'Reilly, and this time it's a foul by the Manchester City man, and it's a free kick to Croatia just inside their own half. So we have 12 minutes to go to half-time, and the next match, the other match in this group, will be the next commentary. So that's midnight UK time, Ghana against Panama. It's being played in Toronto. The commentary will come from Jonathan Pierce and Efene Koku from the 5 Live studios back home. Pickford, that's a heavy touch. He's deflected the ball straight out of play, and he's given Croatia a throw-in, which they take quickly. Ball on the right-hand side with Baturina. And then Croatia, left-footed ball right across the penalty area. Perisic heads it back towards the edge of the box. Bellingham cleared it, but he gave it away to Gvardiol, but then he was challenged by Madueke, and Bellingham and Madueke bring the ball forward together. Bellingham with a touch into the path of Madueke. Kane's in the middle, Gordon's in the middle. Madueke still going. Madueke up against Modric, and then back to James, puts his foot on it. James curls it in, headed away by, I think, Stanisic on the edge of his penalty area. O'Reilly takes up possession again for England. John Stones is there as well. England have turned defence into attack very well here. Probing, looking for that second goal. Madueke to Reece James. James swings it over. looking for Kane, but he's beaten, challenged in the air by Šutalo, and it bounces down, and Croatia should get it away through Sučić. In fact, they're still in their own penalty area, and then a long pass to Perisic, who will head it back to the edge of his own penalty area.
Once again, that path to Madueke's proven a real avenue of joy for England down this right-hand side. And we spoke about him before, putting that early ball in, and I think that was an opportunity for him to do exactly that. That time he chose to hang on to the ball. He didn't do anything with it. He got his two teammates, Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham, throwing their arms up in the air saying, why didn't you give us that early ball again?
Bit of space here for Mario Pasalic, but it comes to nothing. Stanisic actually conceded a throw-in, and England have got it back inside their own half. 10 minutes to go to the break here in Arlington, Texas, not too far away from the Londoner pub, which was doing very decent business when we drove past it a little earlier, just off the Interstate 30. England with the ball, with Anderson just forward of the D. Elliot Anderson looking up, winning his 10th cap tonight. As I say, he's been a real fixture for Thomas Tuchel during the course of this season. Reece James, and then forward from Anderson, flicked on by the head of Madueke. That's though won back by Vuskovic, and then Vuskovic with the pass forward to Baturina, now towards the right hand side, shot from the no, in fact it's a cutback, played to the edge of the area, and the shot is in. It's the equaliser, driven in firmly by Baturina from the edge of the box, high above Pickford's dive to his right, and Croatia are level, 1-1, 10 minutes to go to half time.
That's a well-worked goal from a Croatian point of view, it really is. It's an excellent finish. It's Nico O'Reilly who commits himself initially to the challenge on the floor. They cut inside, the ball's rolled back to the edge of the box. The Baturina strikes it with the inside of his right foot with pace and power, high into the top right-hand corner of Jordan Pickford's goal. Not a lot that the England goalkeeper can do about that at first glance. It's a really good strike, always going away from him. What an opportunity, England. Nico O'Reilly, I think it was, who went to ground, tried to get up, tried to recover. It's very difficult to stop that finish, and Croatia somehow have got themselves a way back into the game when it seemed very unlikely.
So England pegged back, and all of that early promise back to all square. Excellent finish from Baturina. Just his second goal for Croatia. He is one of those young rising stars we were talking about before the match. Plays for Cesc Fabregas at Como in Italy.
And they've got themselves into the Champions League this season, haven't they? And it was actually Petar Sučić, from the 22-year-old Inter Milan player, who did the hard work down the right-hand side and set him up with it. And just looking at the replays again, Jordan Pickford's got a really good hand on that, you know. He's kind of gone underneath it and pushed it into the top of the net. He'll be disappointed with that, Jordan Pickford. I mean, it's not a goalkeeping error, but when you look at it and you're watching the replay, he's got a good firm hand on it, but he's got his hand underneath the ball. And rather than getting a solid flat palm on it, he's almost tried to flick it over the bar. And as he's tried to flick it over the bar, he's flicked it into the top of his net. Like I say, it's not an error, but he will be disappointed.
Listen, I think England, Thomas Tuchel, Harry Kane, everyone knew that this match would be a challenge against the pedigree of players that there is in this Croatia side, and it is proving to be exactly that now.
Well, they know how to manage their way through a game, don't they? The experience that they've got in this side, and we see it so many times from them in tournaments. You know, you don't win 2 medals at the previous 2 World Cups if you haven't got that something about you as a side. And if you do go behind, listen, they've been outplayed at times in this game by England. 56, 57% possession for England. They've been the better team. They've looked dangerous in the wider areas, but Croatia haven't worried. They've sat in their shape and they've hit England on the counter-attack.
And England have looked a little vulnerable
defensively. They have, haven't they? Yeah, they have.
England won, Croatia won. Baturina's goal in the 36th minute. Here's Bellingham. He gets it down, but it's won back by the goal scorer Baturina, who must be absolutely brimming with confidence after that. As I say, his second goal for his country, his first out of World Cup finals, and he really did strike it well. Paul's absolutely right, Pickford got a hand to it, but it was firmly hit. Stanisic over there on the right hand side comes back into the middle of the Croatia half, and then Vuskovic will turn under pressure from Harry Kane and give it to his goalkeeper Livakovic, all in pink, way down there. His pass over the halfway line. Bellingham with the challenge, Konza with a challenge, too close, too tight. That's given us a free kick Croatia's way, 7 or 8 yards inside the England half. Modric takes it quickly. Stanisic will move it on, then plays it out to the right hand side. Petr Musa waiting on the edge of the penalty area. He's a big guy, 6'3", Musa, the central striker. Croatia go back into the centre circle though. Now it's over here on the left hand side with Baturina, and this is a very good period of possession for Croatia, having got the equaliser and lifted all of their thousands of supporters who are here in almost equal number to the England fans, I would say. Livakovic then overhits that ball from inside his penalty area. It's out for a throw in. 5 minutes to go to half time.
Just looking there, John Stones ran all the way with Luka Modric. Luka Modric went to get the ball back off his own goalkeeper, and John Stones ran all the way, chased him into the attacking third, and Elliot Anderson dropped into the back four alongside Konza, and we're seeing that more and more now. Elliot Anderson's been very, very deep since Croatia have scored.
Konza. Across comes Musa, so Jordan Pickford receives the ball, and England start again to pass it out from the back. Reece James. Again, Croatia have got 2 men on him. Anderson lifts the ball over the top. This is for Madueke to chase, but Vuskovic comes across and heads it away, and it hits the corner flag and bounces out for an England corner. Could have gone either way against the corner flag. It went the way of England and a corner kick.
It's a challenge now for England, isn't it? They faced a number of challenges in this game already. I mean, very early on in the tournament, faced the adversity of missing the penalty and having to retake, going 1-0 up and then going back to level. And it's how do they react from certain situations, and they'll be learning as they're going in this game.
Declan Rice walking across, winning his 74th cap tonight. Declan Rice, and that is, you're in the level of truly experienced football international when you reach those sort of numbers. Rice staring at the ground. Now he gets himself in position to take this corner. He's got Madueke if he wants to take a short one. No, Rice goes towards the penalty spot where it's powerfully headed in! Harry Kane with the header now! And England are back in front! And Kane makes it 2 goals in the first half of World Cup 2026. Powerful, no stopping that. Rice with the corner, Kane with the header. England 2, Croatia 1.
Oh, he's done it again. He's done it again. He's got 2 in the first half. Mbappe, Haaland, I've got my 2 in the first half. It's such a simple header for Harry Kane, it really is. All these intricate set plays and the movement is what makes this goal. It's a brilliant delivery from Declan Rice. Harry Kane arrives late, totally unmarked, complete free header from 8 yards out. Powers it hard and low into the bottom right-hand corner, and England have their lead back. And guess who? Yes, we're not going to say his name again this tournament. Number of times we'll be saying his name again this tournament.
And that goal from Harry Kane means he moves alongside Gary Lineker with 10 goals at World Cup finals tournaments. He equals the England record.
It's a brilliant header, John, it really is. We're getting to see the replays now on the big screen in the stadium. Yes, he's free, but he arrives just at the right time. The ball's an outswinger, there's pace and power on the ball, and he meets it just at the right time, and he directs the header into the bottom right-hand corner through a crowd of players. It's a super header from Harry Kane.
Well, when we were waiting to interview Harry Kane yesterday, we had a little look at what was going on in the Norway match. It was half-time. Sure enough, Haaland had scored 2 goals, and I suspect all around the World Cup, probably all around the world, people are doing exactly that. We'll just have a look, see what's happening. Kane's got 2 goals.
The Golden Boot race is certainly underway.
Well, he's got a little badge on his shirt tonight. You know, they've given them all sorts of badges for various bits and pieces, but Kane's badge, that he's got a tiny little golden badge on his sleeve, which marks the fact that he has already got a World Cup Golden Boot from Russia in 2018. And I don't think there's any doubt that he wants another one of those. England 2, Croatia 1. England back in front. Croatia were level for only 6 minutes, and to nose themselves back in front before half-time, so important.
Again, I talked about the test, and they passed that test. You know, again, adversity, conceding the goal. How do you react? What type of mentality do you have? How do you approach the game? Do you sit back? Are you cautious? Are you not wanting to concede again? Or do you keep doing what you've been doing and getting joy from it? And that's exactly what England did.
Crucial little moment there as well when you think about it. The fact that You know, when Vuskovic cleared that ball away and it bounced towards the corner flag and it hit the corner flag. Could have gone out for a throw, it went out for a corner, and England duly score from a corner for the first time at this World Cup. And we know how important corners are when Declan Rice has taken them, and here is Declan Rice in possession on the halfway line as England break again. O'Reilly down the left-hand side. O'Reilly still going, 2 Croatians with him. He's been able to angle it back to Anthony Gordon, who gives it square to Jude Bellingham. Bellingham was sizing himself up for a shot there and actually was fouled. And Mario Pasalic does not like that decision from referee Turpin. He got the ball sort of caught up underneath his feet, Bellingham, as he was looking to find a position, and he just got a little just caught him on the foot. Down he went, free kick England.
Yeah, it was a foul. It's a decent area for England as well, an opportunity to have a strike on target just before half-time. But interestingly enough, I've just been watching the full-backs. It's the first time that Nico O'Reilly's got in advance of Anthony Gordon. You know, Reece James and Nico O'Reilly, whether it's a fact of Thomas Tuchel's tactics, neither one of the 2 full-backs have been pushing that high up. They've actually been staying in a fairly defensive shape, and they've allowed the wingers the time and space without overlapping. That's the first time that O'Reilly's got in advance of Anthony Gordon, and he actually looked very good and got in a good position.
Way down below us, Katia Garcia of Mexico has just held up the board to indicate that there will be a minimum of 5 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, which has gone England's way, even though Croatia found the equaliser. Harry Kane scoring with a penalty and a header, but a free kick here. It's in the middle of the goal. This will be 28 yards out. And Madueke and Bellingham are the potential takers. It looks like Bellingham to me. The 4-man Croatia wall is lined up. Referee just has a final word with, I think, Anthony Gordon, who's standing close to the wall. So Jude Bellingham, hands on hips. Bellingham with a free kick, right-footed, hits the Luka Modric, actually, his former teammate, in the chest at Real Madrid, and bounces away over to the far side.
That was optimistic. It was a long way out. The goalkeeper would have been very disappointed if he'd got beaten from that type of distance. There was only one option that they had. It was probably too central to try and float a ball into the box, so he had to try something, Jude Bellingham.
So we're in the 2nd minute of added time. It's actually Reece James with the free kick. Reece James took that free kick.
That shows how high up we are here then, doesn't it?
It does. Remember the free kick that he took against Latvia when he scored quite brilliantly. Free kick, Perisic to take this on the left-hand side. Perisic in field. And Croatia, but England are quickly back in position. You can see the lines from this lofty position as goal scorer Baturina, 30 yards from goal. He plays it square to Šutalo, then it comes back to Vuskovic, and then Luka Modric in a very deep position. He's actually played that behind Gvardiol, who did well to keep it in play. Modric again. He still looks, even though he's going on 41, Modric still looks just exactly the same, doesn't he? That sort of boyish, with a long floppy hair, which as he runs, he's just running his fingers through that hair right now. Croatia passing the ball out for Perisic on the left-hand side. Perisic himself, 37 years old, takes it on down the left, but actually the ball had already gone out before he crossed it. And I see John Stones in the middle, applauding Reece James for his work out here. And it is a throw-in to England.
Yeah, they've looked good going forward of England. I think there's been a fluidity to them, but at times they have looked susceptible at the back. And the understanding the partnership at the centre of defence hasn't quite clicked as yet. They have looked susceptible, but on the whole, they'll be pretty pleased with what you've seen of Thomas Tuchel.
Yep, conceding the equaliser was certainly a setback, but Harry Kane making the difference, as we kind of suspected he would. Oh, Kane's been caught there. Kane's been caught as he played the ball in field. That's a worry. And he's not up yet, and Croatia continue to play. Baturina again. Gordon puts in the challenge. Then it bounces for Pasalic, who will shoot from 22, 23 yards. Wide of the goal. Pickford making ground to his left, but knew it was going wide. Goal kick to England. Kane is all right.
Yeah, he's remonstrating the referee. Just looking at the replay again. He's got a real case as well, Harry Kane. The referee was in the centre of the field, and that challenge happened just down here in front of the dugouts. I'm not so sure how clearly that the referee saw it, but it was a clear foul on Harry Kane that the referee had missed.
Yeah, and Kane has gone straight across there. He's walked to referee Turpin, and he's obviously made that point forcefully as he can as the England captain. Croatia playing the ball across their own central centre of their field, and then there's a foul on Modric by Harry Kane. He was moving at pace. Modric was stationary. He bundled him over. Free kick. Croatia take it. Croatia trying to respond in added time at the end of the first half with England 2-1 up. And Croatia with Perisic again. Perisic, who's won the league this season in the Netherlands with PSV. In fact, won it the last 2 seasons. Perisic. Back to Modric in the centre circle. Modric, who we thought he might be playing with a face mask, but because he fractured his cheek in April, but as far as I can tell from here, I don't think he is wearing one. Then it comes back to Vuskovic, and now Gvardiol, a heavily bearded Manchester City defender, will use Baturina. Baturina looks to swing it across. In fact, checks back. He's got Bellingham with him. We've had over 4.5 minutes of added time. 5 were indicated. Vuskovic has got it 30 yards from goal. Then he gives it square to Pasalic, and then Pasalic's ball in. Musa heads it across. Here's the chance. It's 2-2. Musa was there to side foot the ball in. The FC Dallas striker scores in the home of the Dallas Cowboys, and for the second time in the match, Croatia have come from a goal down to level things up. England 2, Croatia 2, and Musa scoring in the 5th minute of added time at the end of the first half.
They are, I hope, going to check this for VAR, because Perisic has made a really clever, intelligent run in behind that England defence. Vuskovic finds him and he just heads it back and he sets it back to Musa, and it's a side foot finish from Musa into the back of the England net. But Perisic's run, that is what VAR will check. It was a really well-worked goal from a Croatian point of view. A super ball into Perisic. It's just whether he's managed to hold his run or not.
And just looking at the referee, and he's blown his whistle. That is it. That was the last kick of the first half. The goal has been confirmed, and it is England 2, Croatia 2. And for England, obviously, having led twice, that is frustrating.
Certainly going to change the mood in the England dressing room and the tone of Thomas Tuchel's team talk, I would presume, at half-time. I think he'll be pleased with what he's seen in the offensive third, but defensively, England at times, they have looked in trouble. I mean, the first goal, the tackles were, they were committing bodies into challenges. They got taken out of the play. It was a good finish, one that Jordan Pickford will be disappointed with, and then again picked open far too easily, simple ball over the top and conceded again. There was a lot of good in that for England, but a lot of concern in there for Thomas Tuchel as well.
Yeah, well, we knew coming into this World Cup that the goals of Harry Kane were going to be absolutely instrumental, and they have been in the first half. A penalty and a header for the England captain. However, the problem has been conceding 2 at the other end, and Croatia, you cannot underestimate this team. They are a high-quality international football team, and they've shown it, and they've shown their resilience and spirit. And at half-time here in Texas, it's England 2, Croatia 2.
John, thank you very much. We'll be back with John Murray and with Paul Robinson for the second half from Dallas very shortly. Steph Horton and Conor Cody are here in the studio. And Steph, as Paul Robinson was saying, it's been a mixed bag in the first half from an England point of view.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think at times we've really controlled possession. We've created problems for Croatia, but I think, like what John said, Croatia are a very, very good side, and you've got to be aware, you've got to be alert, and especially England are going to be disappointed with that goal just before half-time.
It feels as though England have had the better of the play, but Croatia maybe have had the moments, Conor.
Yeah, it does. And listen, Croatia are a really experienced team, and that's what experienced teams do. They stay in games, and they stay in games for as long as possible, and they can create things out of nothing. And I actually thought the 2 Croatia goals for Croatia were fantastic goals. I think you got to look at them as England fans and as England kind of pundits here tonight. I think we've got to say that they were good goals. But for me, England have controlled large spells. They want to control it more. They want to nullify them chances that they've had. But it's a really, really good game for us for the second half, isn't it?
It's really set up perfectly for the second half. And of course, it all got underway with Harry Kane and that opening goal from the penalty spot. You pointed out, Conor, that it was an unusual run-up from Harry Kane because he stuttered in the run-up, but he's got form for this. He did it for Bayern Munich against Atalanta, where he noticed that the goalkeeper would come off his line if he waited, and so he would delay it very slightly with that little stutter, and then when that was retaken, in fact that was saved, and then he retook it and again went into the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah, firstly, I would say he can take any sort of penalty he wants because he's that good at penalties. Secondly, that is really clever if that's something he's thinking of. If he's watching other keepers and how they move and what they do, it's a really, really clever thing to do. And listen, we all thought he'd just whip the first one into the top corner and be done with it. And it would just shock me the way he stepped up for that penalty, because I don't see him do that too often. And I know he practiced his penalty the day before, so he must have practiced it. He's obviously looked at the keeper, and thank God the second one went in.
A long time ago, Harry Kane was taking corners. Now he's scoring from them, Steph.
What a header and what a delivery. I think when you look at the setup from Croatia's point of view, how are you leaving Harry Kane unmarked? I think we've had a few opportunities from corners. We're getting first contacts, which is important. And Declan Rice puts a great outswinging corner. But I think the fact that Harry Kane is not marked in that box, but I think if you give him chances like that, he puts it away in a fantastic header. And I think we deserved it at that moment. I think we were fresh, we were energised, we were making runs in advance, and Kane was a big part of that. So to see him get another goal in a World Cup is unbelievable.
What about defensively? Because England haven't conceded a goal in qualifying, and yet that's 2 in the first half of the World Cup.
Yeah, I think especially the first one, I think we overplay. I think it comes to the right-hand side with James. I think Elliot Anderson tries to play into, I think it's Jude Bellingham, and we get caught, and I think that is a worrying sign for England. I think there's times where maybe using that long ball can get us out of trouble, and it's a great strike by Croatia. I think John Stones maybe just needs to try and show him outside. Don't let him come back onto his left foot to pass it to the edge of the box. And I think both goals are avoidable. I think especially the second one, manage the game a minute before half time. I think when you're in that block and you have no pressure on the ball, you've got to expect runs behind, and Croatia are clever. I think Musa runs off James's shoulder, he runs in between Konza and gets in behind, and it was a fantastic goal from their point of view. But I think for our standards and how well we've done over tournaments defensively, I think we'll be really disappointed.
Yeah, at another point in time there may have been rows in the dressing room at half time, but it might just be difficult conversations this time, Connor.
No, of course, and I think also conversations, let's not get too down. Listen, we've controlled large spells, we've played well, we've scored 2 fantastic goals. Where we'd be without Harry Kane, I don't know, but at the same time, we've scored 2 brilliant goals. So will there be conversation? Yes, but we're half-time in the first game of the group stage against the top side, by the way. We spoke about it before the game. They're a top team of experienced players and players who've had unbelievable careers, so they're going to cause us problems at times. Can we stand up to them problems now second half and go on and win the game?
So are you looking at them as sort of individual defensive issues rather than collective ones?
Yeah, and I think also, you've got to sometimes sit there and go, it's hard to nullify every opposition when you're playing against good teams. It really is. It's tough. I can say from a defensive point of view, I'm sure Paul will say the same thing. You want to control every aspect of a football game, but we're talking about the highest of levels, what the boys are playing at here. So are you going to give chances away? Yes. Can they nullify and control the game more on the counter-attack and on the transition? Maybe. But can they go and win the game second half? Of course they can.
Yeah, there's an opportunity for England in the second half. What needs to change? Not too much, Steph, but what do they need to tighten up on?
No, I think we've done some things really, really well in this first half, and I think for me personally, I think on the ball I do feel as though we've got a little bit more of a different gear to play. And also, Thomas Tuchel spoke about the strength of the squad. We've got options to come off the bench, and if we're at 2-2 with 20-30 minutes to go, will we see substitutes? More than likely yes, because we need to try and win this game, and there's no harm in saying that as an England player or England fan. We want to go and win the first game of a World Cup, and we've got to remember World Cup's not about peaking now. So I think in terms of improvement, we can make improvements second half. Do we have to be at our ultimate best? No, because we've got great players.
Yeah, and those players can come off the bench. He has got changes he can make, Tuchel, in the second half.
100%, and I think even if you were winning this game, you'd see changes in the second half to freshen up, to help the lads, to nullify the conditions that the boys are playing in as well. So it's massive, but also let's not forget the players on the pitch can create moments. We spoke about Jude Bellingham before the game. We can rely on players within this squad who can go and win us this game. Now, we've scored 2 great goals. Can we go and score another one in the second half? But it's really exciting to see the players we've got who can come on, but I'd like to think they'd come on even if we were winning as well.
Who has impressed you so far? Because I think that there are players on there who we know have got more in them and will improve as the game goes on. But who's impressed you in the first half?
Well, I also think as the tournament goes on, Kelly, as well, I think we can't forget that this is the first game of a major competition. We want to win. We have to win, really, because it puts you in an unbelievable position to then qualify going into the second 2 games. Who has impressed me? I think, listen, we look at Harry Kane and it's obvious, isn't it? We look at the 2 goals that he scores. We look at how he links to play. I actually quite like the way Jude Bellingham's running behind. Jude Bellingham's been everywhere. Let's not forget he's been absolutely everywhere on the pitch. He's tackling, he's making tackles, he's running back, he's driving forward, he's transitioning really well with the ball. So I think he's being top as well, and he's understanding when Harry drops in, he's got to be the one that runs in behind and fills that space that Harry's leaving.
So it's all set up for a really exciting second half. It's England 2, Croatia 2 at half-time in Dallas as England get their World Cup campaign underway. We'll be back there for the second half very shortly. after the BBC News with Bethan Holmes.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
US officials have released details of the peace plan with Iran, which they say includes an end of fighting on all fronts, including in Lebanon. Under the agreement, Tehran will not develop nuclear weapons. The US will also oversee a $300 billion fund for the reconstruction and economic development of Iran. Donald Trump says the deal could be signed as early as tomorrow. Sir Keir Starmer's urged Andy Burnham not to initiate an immediate leadership challenge if he wins the Makerfield by-election, and Sir Keir has made it clear that he would fight in any contest for his job. A full list of candidates in tomorrow's by-election is available on the BBC News website and app. A former healthcare worker has been cautioned by the privacy watchdog for trying to obtain and sell the Princess of Wales's medical records. Catherine underwent abdominal surgery at the London clinic in 2024. The hospital says there were no breaches and it was an isolated incident. And the BBC's announced 550 job cuts in news, nations and TV and radio content. It's the first stage of the corporation's plan to save £500 million over the next 2 years.
Josh Simons is standing down in Makerfield.
All eyes on Makerfield and the by-election.
This Friday, we'll bring you coverage and expert analysis of the hotly contested and much talked about Makerfield by-election result.
This is 5 Live Breakfast.
And the very latest on the peace deal between the US and Iran, which is due to be signed in Switzerland.
I think what we're seeing here is celebration from both the Americans and to some degree from the Iranians, that they are both suggesting that they've got things that they have demanded from this deal.
5 Live Breakfast.
Ask your smart speaker.
Play BBC Radio 5 Live.
This is 5 Live Sports.
At the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Our live commentary match this evening is England against Croatia. It's 2-2 at half-time. England have led twice. They've been pegged back twice by Croatia. Second half still to come. Also this evening, we've got Ghana against Panama. That one is a midnight kickoff. And then at 3 a.m, it's Uzbekistan against Colombia. Test match specials back tomorrow morning from 10 on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. New Zealand resume on 291 for 7 after England won the toss and chose to field first today. So England against Croatia seen 4 goals in a busy first half.
Starts the run up, right-footed, sends it in. This time, the ball goes one way, Livakovic goes to his right, the other way, and England score. England take the lead in the 12th minute. And Harry Kane and Thomas Tuchel and his team are off and running at World Cup 2026. England 1, Croatia 0. Who scores the first goal? Harry Kane.
That's better, Harry. That's how you take them. Same side, same run-up, same strike, but a lot better contact.
Played to the edge of the area and the shot is in. It's the equaliser. Driven in firmly by Baturina from the edge of the box. High above Pickford's dive to his right, and Croatia are level, 1-1, 10 minutes to go to half-time.
That's a well-worked goal from a Croatian point of view, it really is. It's an excellent finish. Strikes it with the inside of his right foot with pace and power.
Rice goes towards the penalty spot where it's powerfully headed in! Harry Kane with the header now, and England are back in front, and Kane makes it 2 goals in the first half of World Cup 2026. Powerful, no stopping that. Rice with the corner, Kane with the header. England 2, Croatia 1.
Oh, he's done it again. He's done it again. He's got 2 in the first half. Mbappe, Haaland, I've got my 2 in the first half. It's such a simple header for Harry Kane, it really is.
And then Paslic's ball in, Musa heads it across. Here's the chance, it's 2-2. Musa was there to side foot the ball in. The FC Dallas striker scores in the home of the Dallas Cowboys, and for the second time in the match, Croatia have come from a goal down to level things up.
It is 2-2 then at half-time, and here's England assistant coach Anthony Barry speaking at half-time.
Overall a complicated and confusing first half from us, really. I think a lot of nervous energy early on. Maybe that should be accepted and maybe expected in the opening game of a World Cup. From there, then we made some decisions where the energy was not free in our mind, playing long when we should play short, playing short when we should play long, really. Not playing through the gaps, so not allowing us to accelerate our game the way we wanted to. Then you think the penalty would free us up, allow us to play more like us, look more like ourselves. But again, we fall back into some fearful patterns. And we've always been able to rely on set pieces. We get the second goal. Again, we're hoping that's the moment to free us up and allow us to move forward in the game. But okay, we concede the second goal late on, and now we have to speak about that at half-time.
That was Anthony Barry talking at half-time in that game between England and Croatia. John Murray and Paul Robinson are in Dallas for us. Paul, I wanted to get your thoughts on that Harry Kane penalty, because Connor was saying it's so rare for him to stutter in his run-up, but he's done it before for Bayern Munich against Atalanta, and said he's noticed the pattern from some goalkeepers that they will move off their line early, and that's when he chooses to go. I'm just interested in what you think of that from a keeper's perspective.
Yeah, well, it's worked for him, hasn't it? I mean, the goalkeeper has come off his line early, but actually the interesting thing was he stuck to that technique for the next one. I've seen him do it this season before, and I think his confidence and where he's at the moment, you can't question him. He take it how you want to take it. But I just think it was the actual strike of the penalty. It was too close to the goalkeeper. I think even if the goalkeeper had not looked to seek the advantage, he would have still saved it anyway. And you look at the way that he obviously learnt from his first penalty and was brave enough to go the same way, but this one was much closer to the corner. And his run-up is obviously his choice and how he feels comfortable. He will have practiced this. England will have practiced this. Both, Harry Kane and a lot of other individuals will have practiced many penalties going into this tournament. If there's anybody you want in that situation, it's Harry Kane.
Steph, I thought it was interesting to hear Anthony Barry talk about playing with a fearful energy, or settling back into fearful patterns for England.
Yeah, I think we've got to give context that it's the first game of the World Cup. There's such an expectation on England because of what we've achieved over the last 4 tournaments, but also the players that we have. So I think when he mentioned the word complicated, I think from a coach's point of view, you have an idea of how you want the game to go, and has it gone the way that they wanted to go? Probably not. But I think getting back to that England that we know, where we are fearful and we have the energy to go and press with and without the ball.
The players are ready to go for the second half in the company of Paul Robinson and John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. Welcome back, everyone, inside the home of the Dallas Cowboys. We've got Croatia out on the field. They're ready to go. We've got the England substitutes have all come back out onto the field, but we're still waiting for the England team to emerge from the dressing room. Yeah, I think we heard from Anthony Barry there, Paul, that there was going to be a discussion, certainly in the dressing room, about the fact they've let slip a lead twice.
Yeah, he said you could understand that they played with maybe some nerves and fear, but actually when that penalty, the second taking of the penalty went in, and they got a foothold in the game. But once again, it's not a game where you feel that Croatia have threatened them at all. Croatia have had 1 or 2 opportunities, probably 3 opportunities on target, and taken 2 of them. They've been clinical. They've sat off at times in this back 5. They've been happy without possession, and they've soaked up what England have had to throw at them, but offered a threat at the other end. This is interesting. Croatia are all lined up ready to kick off, and the referees just told the England substitutes to get off the field.
Yeah. A very odd situation, looking down on it here. Croatia already lined up to kick off. In the other half, it's all of the England substitutes.
And there's absolutely no sign of England coming out the dressing room as yet.
And Croatia are ready to go. For the record, the statistics here say Croatia have had 4 attempts on goal and scored 2 of them. But still we wait for the England team. So I'll run you through it. Pickford in goal, James, Konza, Stones and O'Reilly, Anderson, Rice, Madueke, Bellingham, Gordon and Kane. So it is the England team, if you weren't listening in the first half, but I think the expectation was that it would be, which was the starting lineup in the final friendly against Costa Rica in Florida that you may have been listening to with Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock. Well, the big screen, that's why you can hear the applause from the England fans, show that Harry Kane and his team are walking through the grey walls outside the dressing rooms and will be on the pitch very soon. The Croatia team, which is already out there and actually thrown some footballs on for them just to get a feel of the ball. Livakovic, the goalkeeper, Šutalov, Vuskovic and Gvardiol, Stanisic, the right wing back, Perisic on the left, Modric and Sucic, then Baturina, Pasalic and Musa. Baturina and Musa, the goal scorers for Croatia. Harry Kane with a penalty in the goal, meaning he's now scored 10 goals at World Cups, equalling the England record of Gary Lineker. The England players are walking out onto the field, not a great deal of urgency there. And also, Paul, you had a little look that you suggested it, that Perisic in the build-up to the second Croatia goal might have been offside.
Yeah, I think there's a really big call for that, but actually we saw the images at half-time, and I think his arm may have been offside, but I think it was Konza's right leg, right boot that played him ever so slightly very much onside. It was a close decision. VAR obviously will have checked it. They've done well, VAR, in this match with their eagle eye, their close decisions. They've got them right, and that was obviously checked, and it allowed the referee to blow the half-time whistle. Yep. It was close, but no reprieve for England this time.
But the semi-automated offside did the work very quickly on that, and the goal was given. So 2-2 as the second half begins. Certainly entertaining as Konza is able to head the ball back to Pickford after Luka Modric kicked off the second half. So England with Stones and O'Reilly receiving it from him. Nico O'Reilly, after his brilliant season, scoring in the League Cup final, memorably the day after his 21st birthday. Ball played across, winner of the FA Cup as well, and now here he is in the England starting lineup at the World Cup. Elliot Anderson, and Jude Bellingham drops back into his own half for this, and then passes it to his right to Ezri Konza. And of course, as well, at some point you would have thought we would see some of the players that you might have expected to see in the starting lineup coming on as substitutes during the course of this 45 minutes. Stones with the ball, and again, just to repeat, or if you don't know, this match is being played inside, so it is a steady 20-22 degrees, and really it actually feels quite cool sitting high up here in the stands. O'Reilly, the roof is closed, and Stones playing it across the back line to Konza. England then with Reece James, then Anderson drives the pass forward, Bellingham's onto that, Madueke runs inside, Bellingham into the penalty area from the angle, shoots across, goal and in! Oh, what play! What a goal from Jude Bellingham! And he stands in front of the England fans, arms wide apart. They sing the name of Jude Bellingham, and England are back in front in the first 2 minutes of the second half. What a goal from Jude Bellingham! England 3, Croatia 2.
And that is why he is in the side. That is why Thomas Tuchel has chose to start Jude Bellingham. It's a brilliant ball round the corner from Elliot Anderson. I'm not sure it's initially meant for Jude Bellingham. I think it's meant for the run of Madueke. But Madueke's so intelligent. He knows that Bellingham's run into his space. Madueke then curves his run into the 18-yard box, takes the defenders away, and he leaves that space for Jude Bellingham, but he's still got so much to do. 12 yards out on a tight angle, he doesn't hit the cleanest of shots, he bounces it into the floor, but he and Thomas Tuchel don't care. It kisses the inside of the far post and ends up in the back of the Croatian net. It's a brilliant individual goal from Jude Bellingham, and that is why he's in this England team.
Well, that justifies the decision from Thomas Tuchel. Would it be Rodgers? Would it be Bellingham? Well, he took the game by the scruff of the neck there. I mean, Madueke could have run onto that, but Bellingham said, no, it's mine.
He was really intelligent, Madueke. He'd realised that Bellingham had ran into his space.
Oh, England could be in business again here. Bellingham, after it was given away. Bellingham with a shot, Livakovic, a fumbling save. Shot from just inside the box, and he managed to get something behind it. It was straight at him, but he fumbled it away at 45 degrees, and it rolls out for an England corner after Croatia gave the ball away there to England.
Yeah, the goalkeeper, Livakovic, straight to Declan Rice, who in turn finds Jude Bellingham. Arguably a better angle for a strike there from Jude Bellingham. Couldn't quite find the corner. He opened his body up to shape to go across the goalkeeper. Closed his foot up, but it was a decent save from the goalkeeper. Maybe should have found the corner there, Jude Bellingham.
So the 5th goal of the match, and England are in front for the 3rd time. Croatia equalising right at the end of the first half. England scoring early in the second. Rice with the corner now, Livakovic comes. Oh, he didn't get there! Oh, and it's headed wide by O'Reilly. Oh, what a chance, in amongst the crowd at the back post. Goalkeeper was nowhere, all at sea, and O'Reilly headed it wide. He had Gvardiol, his clubmate, standing in front of him. They headed it a foot wide, and you can hear the gasps when the England fans see it on the big screen here in the stadium.
It's a free header, it's an empty net. It's a lovely ball in again from Declan Rice. The goalkeeper's come for the cross, completely misjudged it, left his goal line and left the goal gaping. You can only think there in Nico O'Reilly's defence that Gvardiol was in front of him and he was trying to head it around his Manchester City teammate, trying to be too cute. Free header into an empty net. That was such an opportunity for England.
3-2 though to Thomas Tuchel's side, and he's standing way down below. He's dressed quite darkly. I think it's a dark blue collared shirt that he's wearing and dark blue trousers, white trainers, and he is turning around, and he's talking to his coaching staff who are sitting under the red roof of the dugout behind him, and whatever he's seen, he is not happy about it. However, his team lead by 3 goals to 2, and Jude Bellingham has scored in the first match of the World Cup, just like he did 4 years ago, remember, against Iran, when he scored England's first goal of that tournament. So Kane's got 2, 1 from the penalty spot, and Jude Bellingham winning his 49th cap tonight, by the way, Jude Bellingham. That's his 7th goal for England. And once again, Croatia have to come from behind, but we certainly will not be underestimating them. Baturina, who scored the very good goal to make it 1-1, is fouled by John Stones. Free kick to Croatia, halfway inside the England half. With 5 goals already in this match, this is already turning out to be one of the best games of the tournament.
It's certainly not what we thought it would be, is it, before the game? The way that these two teams have played each other in recent times, and the goals or the lack of goals between them, we thought this would be a much tighter affair, and I'm sure that's what Thomas Tuchel's frustration is. His team have scored 3 goals and they're not clean home and hosed as yet.
Free kick then. Modric to take this, curls it in. That's headed up and away by Harry Kane for England, and then Bellingham gets it down. Bellingham just finds the pass to Gordon. One ball from Madueke would have released the Arsenal man through the middle, but the defender was there and able to step across. I think it might have been Stanisic who was able to intercept that pass. If he got that right, Gordon, Madueke would have been away.
He should have got that right, Gordon. It was, he's in acres of space, and the pass through to Madueke, it didn't have to be to his feet, it had to be in space. There was plenty of grass behind him.
Thomas Tuchel urges Declan Rice to take this ball on. Down the left-hand side he does. Rice still going, curls it goalwards, and it's saved by Ludakovic, who it was close enough to him. Dive, got 2 good hands to it. As we would have said in times past, a bit of a photographer's save, but he saved it nevertheless.
Good play from Declan Rice. Good forward energy. It just seemed to open up in front of him. I don't think he was looking to go and get the shot in. He just comes into the edge of the 18-yard box on the angle on his right foot. You can see what he's trying to do. Opens himself up looking for that far top corner. Goalkeeper reads it well, and as you say, John, a very comfortable, easy save for the Croatian goalkeeper.
Declan Rice walks across there over to the far side. This is at the cheerleaders' end of the Dallas Cowboys stadium. All of those big banners are hanging from the roof up above their heads, which indicate the 5 years that the Dallas Cowboys have been world champions. Rice now with a corner. That's headed away by Perisic. Back to Rice, who gets it down. Rice takes on the defender, then gets the ball over, and it is headed away and behind the near post by Perisic for another corner to Rice and England from the right.
Yeah, this is a good spell for England, and you feel that they have to capitalise. They've got Croatia right where they want them. They've got to maximise the opportunities now. Score another goal now and then manage your way through the game. This is a real good spell for England.
Against this Croatia team, England need another goal, you would suggest, on the basis of the play tonight. Corner's taken quickly. Reece James, then Anderson. Anderson back out towards Rice, who's going to have to head this infield, which he does. And then as James got there, Luka Modric put the challenge in, but the referee says, it was Madueke actually who got there, but the referee says, no, it's not a free kick. It's come off Madueke, and it's a goal kick to Croatia.
I think Madueke has got a case there. Modric has been clumsy once or twice already with his challenges. Gave away the penalty early in the first half. That's 2 or 3 challenges that Modric got away with.
Thomas Tuchel is still remonstrating with, it's John Stones he's talking to, so he's one of his captains out on the field, even though Harry Kane's got the armband. But again, you know, there are a whole series of messages from Thomas Tuchel to John Stones, and whatever it is, Thomas Tuchel is, he is right involved in the action down there, the England manager.
He just keeps walking, pacing his technical areas, shaking his head, looking at the ground, whether it's in frustration that he can't get the messages on or what his team are or aren't doing, but he's definitely not happy with the way that England are playing. He wants the ball wider. He's telling Anthony Gordon to come onto this touchline. He's pointing to his coach, Anthony Barry, back in the dugout. Look, this is where I want him. He's telling Gordon, get wide. Madueke, he wants wide. As we say, he wants them to make the pitch bigger.
All the while, England have possession inside their own half. Anderson's got to be careful here, but does well, actually. Harry Kane withstands the channel and then plays it out to the right-hand side. Madueke is onto this. Madueke into the penalty area. James on the run. The covering challenge came across to deflect it out of play for a corner to England again from the right.
He's clapping now. because that's exactly what he wanted. Madueke was extremely wide, Gordon was extremely wide, and they were able to get the ball into Harry Kane, who then, what they did so well in the first half, Kane dropped deep, and then there was loads of space to play it into the wide players. Madueke did that in the first half, and that's exactly what they've just done again.
So it seems like he's got the message across that he's been trying to put over for the first 10 minutes of the second half, even though England scored their third goal in that time to edge themselves back in front. So it's a corner. Rice to take this. Left arm raised. Declan Rice, outswinger towards the edge of the penalty. Oh, came to the header, and then it's back. Livakovic saves again. Saved the first header from Kane, and then the follow-up from Konza. Rice with the cross again. Croatia struggling, and it's deflected behind for a corner again, but a double save from Livakovic. Brilliant from the Croatia goalkeeper to keep out the first header from O'Reilly, and then the follow-up from Gordon it was, and Konza as well.
It's a brilliant first save. It's just a reaction save, very similar to the Harry Kane goal in the first half. This time Livakovic was in the right place, out-swinging corner. It was a good header from O'Reilly. Goalkeeper's almost poured it out from behind his own line. Gordon with a follow-up. It was a weak follow-up. There was a decent save on the follow-up, but no real pace on Gordon's header. I think he was put off by the Croatian defender's boot nearing his head.
It's actually a triple save. First one from O'Reilly, second one from Gordon, and then that sort of scruffy third one from Konza. So another corner. It's an in-swinger this time from Rice from the left. Livakovic comes, gets a punch on this one. Well, there's no question the Croatia goalkeeper Dominik Livakovic has kept his team in it with those saves. Throw-in taken quickly, then the cross is mishit, although it hasn't gone out of play. Kane has hooked it back towards the edge of the area. Madueke now. Croatia are struggling here. England are all over them. Kane shoots from the angle. That's saved by Livakovic. Kane shoots again. Livakovic flaps that one away. He shot there. Kane down into the ground. It bounced up. Livakovic made the save. England come again. Gordon, now a left-footed ball. Bellingham in. Kane on the back post, and he couldn't get a clean shot on that. The defender was there with him, and Croatia scrape it away. And somehow Croatia have survived that period of intense England pressure.
How has that stayed out? I've got no idea there. Stanisic at the far post went in with Harry Kane. Combination of him and Livakovic, the goalkeeper. Livakovic has had a really good spelling goal there. This is an excellent period of time for England. They need to capitalise on this, but do you know what? I think Croatia are realising this. Croatian goalkeeper Livakovic just gone down. They're ready to make a substitution, Croatia, but he realises that his team are under pressure. And actually, Paul, it's Modric who's coming off from the midfield. And Luka Modric conceded the penalty. He's not had the influence of the Modric of old, and he's replaced by another of the Croatian veterans, the Manchester City man, Mateo Kovacic, his 114th cap coming on into the midfield in place of Modric. So highly experienced, replaced by very, very experienced. Yeah, and I think the Croatian goalkeeper there just realised the new rule about the goalkeepers going down. So as soon as that substitute was made, he very quickly got back to his feet, and he was actually okay. Yeah, it's a good rule, that, isn't it? Yeah, it's something needed doing, didn't it? Because that was the exact time and reason that goalkeepers were doing it. Yeah, if the goalkeeper goes down, then you are penalised, and that's how it should be. Here's O'Reilly, who could easily have scored a goal on his World Cup debut a few minutes ago. And really, England, I mean, the chances there they had to make it 4-2. And Croatia are still in it. The goal led a charmed life, let's say. There was one or two really good opportunities, good saves, wasteful finishing, and some really good saves in there. But this is a really good spell for England. Yeah, it was an intense period of England pressure. I mean, chance after chance. And that has pleased Thomas Tuchel. He's much more settled now. Be even more settled if they'd been able to find the fourth goal. Long from Pickford. That's headed away by Gvardiol. Reece James is up on the halfway line. Now, England with Jude Bellingham. Bellingham then just knocks it back to Stones, and Bellingham again influential, just like he was in the friendly match against Croatia. But you know, you kind of took that with a pinch of salt, didn't you? England playing against a team that hadn't qualified for the World Cup. England were really tuning up, but Bellingham at those sort of moments there, although misplaced pass from Declan Rice behind O'Reilly, and it's out of play for a throw-in to Croatia.
there's been plenty of good and bad for England in this match so far.
And you just have to watch the England manager and his reactions to realise some of the passages of play he's really pleased with, really extravagant, and his applause for his team, and he's to tell them that he's happy with what they're doing. But likewise, you can see at times he's absolutely disgusted with some of the passages of play what he's seeing. England
3, Croatia 2. Long pass from Stones, but Gordon won't reach that, and it's out of play for a throw-in. This is 5 Live from the BBC, live from the World Cup. Search Football Daily on BBC Sounds. You'll find all the reaction there. We'll have it in the morning on breakfast on 5 Live. Breakfast in America as well, if you've not listened to that during the first couple of the weeks of the tournament. Back home, that's between 1 and 3 in the afternoon. Steve Crossman has that live from New York tomorrow as the ball bounces back towards the dead ball line and out of play for a goal kick to Croatia. And also on the television after this match, on the iPlayer, there will be a full breakdown and analysis of this England performance and result, whichever way it's going to go. And we're into the last half hour of it now, Paul Robinson.
Yeah, and if England don't win this game, they've only got themselves to blame after creating those chances. It's just come up the stats. They've had 18 opportunities on goal and 8 of them have been on target. So they really are in the ascendancy. It's just about taking those chances and having that little bit more quality in the final third, because they've certainly looked good when they've got in the areas.
It's back with Pickford, who's been a virtual spectator in the second half. And then Stones is leaned into and fouled, actually, by Perisic as he was clearing that away downfield. John Stones winning his 90th cap tonight, incidentally, which moves him alongside Brian Robson and Jordan Henderson, who is on the bench on the occasion of his 36th birthday today. The cheers you can hear, the camera is focused in on what I'm guessing must be some figures from American sport who were interacting there with the crowd. Any idea?
I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that, John.
No, well, I haven't got a clue. Long ball from Pickford, and it's out of play on the halfway line. Straight out of play for a throw-in to Croatia. It was Emmitt Smith who played for the Dallas Cowboys, naturally enough. And it's a free kick to Croatia halfway inside their own half. So I think Croatia have weathered that little storm, so now this is an awkward period for England. They're just sort of setting off it a bit, have a little bit of a recovery period.
And you know what else is coming up, don't you? The hydration break. That's going to slow things down and break up possession again.
Still 5 minutes off that,
yeah. England have got to keep going, but keep doing what they've done well in the right areas. And at the moment, defence hasn't been the best, but attack has been their best form of defence. And I think that's the way that England have approached this. They don't want to be going into the last 20-25 minutes of this game thinking that they're going to hold on. I mean, we saw the Dutch try and do that against the Japanese in this stadium, didn't we?
We did.
And switched to a back 5 very quickly too early in the game, and that didn't work for them.
Which reminds me, there was a suggestion that Croatia might switch to a back 4 at some point during this match, because that's been Zlatko Dalic's more frequent system that he's used. But I think there was a feeling that with the players that he has here, 3-4-3, if you call it that, was more natural for this group of players. Stones with the ball at the back. The score, if you've just switched onto us on 5 Live, England 3, Croatia 2. All of the England-Scotland games will be live on 5 Live from the States. Rice has got to get to this ball, which he has. And then O'Reilly is in danger of running into trouble, but he's got out of trouble. But then he gives it away. Kovacic against his clubmate. Croatia coming forward. Here's the ball to the right-hand side now for Croatia, and a twist and a turn from Sucic, and the ball runs away. Final touch off the Croatian. It's a goal kick to England.
Taking too many chances, too many risks in areas that they don't need to, England. Trying to play too intricate. There was a ball from Jordan Pickford initially that caused the trouble into Declan Rice. He then passed the responsibility onto Nico O'Reilly, who tried to run in field, and they ended up losing possession in areas where they don't need to be playing and taking chances.
That's happened throughout the course of the match, actually since the first minutes of the match. That's happened to England.
And risk and reward, at this stage of the game, when you're winning the game, control the game, don't put the ball at risk in areas where you run the risk of conceding.
Well, at the moment it's Jude Bellingham's goal that is going to be the match winner, but there's a long way to go. Bellingham just playing it back for Anderson, and he's fouled, goes down 10 yards inside Croatian territory, so a free kick to England. This is the 12th World Cup that England have played at since 1966. And in that whole time, only 2 semi-finals to show for it. Italia 90 under Bobby Robson, and then equally memorably, the World Cup in Russia in 2018 under Gareth Southgate, which of course came to an end with defeat in the semi-final to Croatia. Perisic scored in that match, and here he is, still going 8 years later. Bellingham back to Konza in the centre circle. Konza to O'Reilly, and then John Stones. Rice is available. O'Reilly and Rice exchange passes. Now Anthony Gordon. He's not really been able to get away down the left-hand side yet, but he's trying now against Stanisic. Still going, but Stanisic was able to, as they raced back towards the dead ball line, got a touch on that. And the assistant says actually the ball was out of play, so it's a throw into Croatia, who are going to make a couple of changes actually now. Igor Matanovic, the towering Freiburg striker, is going to come on, and so he's coming onto the field, and also so is Marko Pasalic. So we're going to have 2 Pasalics on the field. They're not related. Mario Pasalic and Marko Pasalic. Marko, who plays here in the United States for the Orlando City club. So coming off are Vuskovic. So I think we might see that. Change to a back 4, and Petar Musa, who scored the second Croatia goal to make it 2-2. It does look as though they
just looking now, John, does, immediately looks like they've gone to a back 4, and now they've got a real target man, so they can go longer. If they are struggling to get out at times, they've got a figurehead up front. We may see them adapting their game, playing slightly longer, but it's definitely a more attacking formation.
So 3-2, England lead. Pickford was, well, he's made an immediate impact. Matanovic on Jordan Pickford, fouled him on the edge of the England penalty area.
Yeah, it's certainly been put on for a reason, to throw himself about. He closed Jordan Pickford down there, clattered the England goalkeeper from behind. But it's not too bad for England if the game's broke up and it becomes bitty. They can take the time and they can run the clock down. It's not ideal, but it's about getting a win in this first game.
So England 3, Croatia 2. Hydration break about 30 seconds away. Long pass over the top, down the right for Madueke to chase. Madueke is beaten to it by Gvardiol, and Gvardiol with his left foot clips it forward. It should get there first, Konza for England, and then his pass to Stones, who just was able to hold off Marko Pasalic, who's just come onto the field. Pickford, then to Rice, and then O'Reilly turns, finds Gordon, and Gordon, you would think, wouldn't you, when Thomas Tuchel does make his first change, Rashford for Gordon would be likely.
He's been quiet, hasn't he? He's not really got into the game. Madueke's been a real threat. He's been lively in the first half. In the second half, he helped to create that goal for Jude Bellingham, and he's an outlet that England have looked forward, because Harry Kane is naturally right-footed. When he drops into that middle of the park inside his own half, he naturally will swing out to the right, because he'll look to play with his right boot, and Madueke's been the outball.
That is the voice of Paul Robinson. 41 caps for England. Konza passing the ball to the right. Still play continues, so we'll have to wait for the hydration break. Madueke goes for the early cross. Kane got his head to it, glanced it here. Gordon shoots for goal, but hits the defender with the shot. It bounced straight off the backside of Stanisic, and then Jude Bellingham is able to break up the potential Croatia counter-attack. The ball is finally out of play. Thomas Tuchel steps forward in his navy blue shirt and prepares what he's going to say to his team for the last time before we get into the controversial fourth quarter of this of this World Cup group match. England 3, Croatia 2, and while we have the play, while the players are able to take on some liquid, let's head back into the 5 Live studio and hear from Steph Houghton and Conor Cody again. England had a great spell, Steph, didn't it, during the course of that period of play?
Yeah, exactly how he wanted England to come out after half-time. I think being on the front foot, runners in behind, and that's exactly where Bellingham's goal comes from. I think we've seen it a few times in the first half, that little bit of a ball over the top from Elliot Anderson, and this one worked. I think huge credit to Bellingham in terms of getting past his defender and getting his shot away, but a fantastic run by Madueke to take the centre half away. So perfect start from England at the start of the second half.
And Connor, it looks as though from what we can see here that Rashford, Saka and Rodgers are all going to come on after this hydration break. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's not bad stuff to bring on, John, is it? I think if you're Croatia and you're looking at them three players coming onto the field now, you're worrying a little bit, and this is what we spoke about before the game, about the changes, whether England are winning or chasing the game. I think we've got the players to bring on to affect the game no matter what, and I like what Paul said during the second half there about, I think it's quite obvious now England are trying to use the width. I know Croatia are playing with a back five, but it's like they're trying to isolate them fullbacks and pin them back as much as they possibly can to then find the pockets in between. So I think England have played really well. Can they keep on nullifying Croatia? I think that's the biggest thing to try and keep them at bay.
Connor, what do you think? What do you do here now with the time that they've got left? Do you try and stay in the game and say, we'll keep what we've got, or do you keep doing what you're doing into the last 5 minutes or so?
No, I think they've got to keep doing what they're doing. I think if you sink, Paul, I think we've seen it. I think Croatia will create chances. They're good enough to do it. You have experienced players, which we spoke about a lot. And at the same time, England are playing well. Stay on the front foot. This is what we want to see. We want to see an England team pushing forward, trying to score goals. I think they've done it really well. There's a game plan to it. We see Thomas Tuchel obviously animated on the line, which I'm loving to see as well, because he wants a certain aspect from his team, and I think they're doing it really, really well.
No, I completely agree. I think there's too long left in the game. Like I said in commentary there, we saw the Dutch play against Japan, and after the hydration break, Ronald Koeman changed to a back five. He brought Nathan Ake on, and they sat deeper and deeper and invited them on, and they ended up conceding the goal and drawing the game. England defensively haven't looked at their best today. What they have looked good at is going forward and playing in the right areas, and when they do with those players and these substitutes that are coming on now with Saka, Rodgers and Rashford, interesting to see who comes off. You might expect it's going to be Madueke, Bellingham and Gordon, and the shape's going to stay the same.
OK, thank you, Steph and Connor. More from them at the end of the match. And after the hydration break, we will see the numbers going up for England of Declan Rice is the first number that goes up. I don't think I was necessarily expecting that. Anthony Gordon we were expecting, so Rice and Gordon off, and also Noni Madueke. Yeah, so that was to be expected. So that means that here in Texas, Bukayo Saka comes on to win his 50th cap, and he becomes the fourth youngest England player to reach that milestone. And so he is on. Rashford is on the left-hand side, his 73rd cap tonight after his very good season, his league championship winning season with Barcelona, and Morgan Rodgers on for his 16th.
Now this is an interesting switch from Thomas Tuchel, because immediately it looks like Jude Bellingham's the one that's dropped in alongside Elliot Anderson to play in that defensive midfield role.
But it is Croatia who are breaking away with England 3-2 up. Croatia in the England box. The ball across is intercepted by Elliot Anderson, and then a foul on Saka. That's the first contribution that he's made, to be bundled over by Perisic, and it's a free kick to England halfway inside their own half. England 3-2 up on Croatia. If you're late to it, England led twice in the first half, Harry Kane's penalty and then a header, but Baturina and Musa equalised. But then in the second minute of the second half, a very good goal from Bellingham, who's released down the right hand side. As Steph said during the break there, Madueke taking away one of the central defenders, which created the space, and Bellingham with an excellent finish from an angle off the far post.
And this just showing another reason why Thomas Tuchel may have played Jude Bellingham today. As I say, he's dropped in now. Morgan Rodgers has gone into the 10, Rashford on the left and Saka on the right. But just as that free kick was given to England, the instruction there from Bellingham to Rashford was get on the touchline. You could see what they're trying to do.
Yeah, great moment from Morgan Rodgers, involved in the World Cup for the first time. Saka and Rodgers together into the penalty area, but it breaks down inside the box, and Croatia are able to take it away. And still haven't been able. Perisic now running powerfully. His pass actually hits big Matanovic, bounces off him, and England have got possession back. So we're in the 74th minute. England are on course for victory, but they will not be able to relax in this match the way that it's gone, because Croatia have always posed a threat when they've had the ball in the England defensive third. Long crossfield pass. Rashford could be onto this. Goalkeeper comes out, just gets there inside the penalty area to tackle it away against Rashford. That was a close thing that Rashford very nearly got a touch to that.
It was a poor defensive header from the right back. Stanisic looked back towards his goalkeeper. He didn't put enough pace on it. The goalkeeper got him out of trouble because Rashford's quick, he's sharp, he's fresh, he's just on. Goalkeeper had a lot of ground to cover. He does really well in the end.
Yeah, Rashford, after the 14 goals that he scored for Barcelona this season, still don't know, do we, where he's going to be playing next season, with Anthony Gordon having arrived there. But anyway, we'll know about that soon enough. Ball on the edge of the penalty area with Croatia. It's played out to Šutalo. So now Šutalo and Gvardiol, the central defenders. Gvardiol receives it back from his goalkeeper, with Morgan Rogers, who's now making his World Cup debut, the Aston Villa man, part of the Europa League winning squad in Istanbul. But Croatia still with the ball. Here it is, passed towards the right-hand side, and Mario Pasalic then up to the edge of the area. Stones heads that down. O'Reilly loses it, and now it's from the right-hand side into the penalty area. Shot from the angle, Pickford makes the save, bounces out towards the edge of the penalty area, and England are able to get it away. That initial shot from Marco Pasalic forcing the best save yet from Jordan Pickford.
And there's the example, the exact reason why England can't sit off and allow Croatia time and possession inside their defensive third, because they have still got quality and they can still hurt you. Pasalic cuts inside on his left foot, comes off the byline on the angle, hammers it hard and low to Jordan Pickford's right. The England goalkeeper gets two solid hands on it, and he does really well because he pushes it out of the danger area. They're not soft hands, it's a really solid meet from Jordan Pickford to push it towards the edge of the 18-yard box.
15 minutes to play. England 3, Croatia 2. We'll have news from the England camp again tomorrow, the aftermath, when England will go back to Kansas City, and Scotland, they next play on Friday night UK time against Morocco. That's in Boston, and England's next match is in Boston as well, next Tuesday. Both matches on 5 Live, England-Ghana. Croatia coming forward, a shot from distance, but Pickford can easily or comfortably go down and take. Matanovic having a goal from best part of 30 yards probably.
He'll be quite happy, Jordan Pickford, if the remainder of the attempts on his goal come in from that type of range. It'll be comfortable for the England goalkeeper.
The England supporters, you can hear them now to our left. They incidentally used the hydration break for a sing-song, didn't they? Didn't hear them singing along to the Killers, just like they did the Arsenal fans in Budapest. Ball in the centre circle. The hydration break can be used for a variety of purposes, it would seem, apart from football. Here is Perisic on the left-hand side. Croatia, England have dropped back. Everyone back in the defensive third. Through the middle it goes. Then back to Gvardiol. And now he has Mateo Kovacic through the middle. Mario Pasalic out to Marco Pasalic on the right flank into the penalty area. The attempted cross from Stanisic as the offside flag goes up, and what might have been a corner disappears, and it is a free kick to England.
Yeah, there's a little bit of uncertainty there. Nico O'Reilly down the left-hand side, Marcus Rashford trying to double up. John Stones had to come across and clear up the danger. He was offside in the end. Once again got in behind Nico O'Reilly.
And again, FIFA have done incredibly well to employ a range of men with very deep voices to announce the various bits and pieces inside the stadium. And on this occasion, we hear that 70,389 is the official attendance. As Croatia make another change, and Nikola Vlasic is coming on. The former West Ham and Everton player, attacking midfielder who didn't make much of an impression in his time there, but he currently plays for Torino. He's had a good season, and he's on up front. And also Kramaric is on as well. Andrej Kramaric, the former Leicester City striker, who has now become a legendary figure at Hoffenheim. He is their club record scorer, but he is 34 years old, the number 9, so he will play up front. And Jed Spence on as well. Is coming on.
To. It looks like he's getting ready down there. Yeah, this is the time in the game where the substitutions are going to happen. They rotate. A couple of attacking substitutions from Croatia. There's definitely an intent there, a forward-thinking intent.
Bellingham off. And Spence coming on, and Bellingham applauds all around the stadium. He applauds to the England supporters who are cheering him and shouting his name, Jude. So Spence comes on. There's a hearty clasp of hands with Thomas Tuchel.
That means Reece James will go in, play that number 6 role, what he's done so well at Chelsea this season. No shape change. I think this is a structure and a shape that we'll see from Tuchel throughout the tournament. But Reece James is now the one that goes into that number 6 role and sits alongside Elliot Anderson, and Jed Spence will occupy the right back role. Same shape, different personnel.
So we are going to see Jed Spence at right back then for the remainder of this match. And Reece James into the midfield. As you say, Paul, Thomas Tuchel will have been planning that. And he's played there so much, hasn't he, for Chelsea this season. But even so, mildly surprised that Bellingham hasn't seen this match out. But that's probably all part of the plan, isn't it? This rotation and using the squad. He'll feel that he's got to do this at this World Cup. But Croatia coming forward. Ball deflected to the edge of the area. Anderson heads it away. 10 minutes to go. England on course for victory, but the lines are fine. 3-2. And Croatia have already shown what they're capable of, having twice come from a goal down. Ball out to the left-hand side. Perisic. Then for the newly arrived Kramaric. Kramaric gets it onto his left foot. Here's the cross. Pickford comes, gets a punch away, comes out of the penalty area. Peter Susic with the shot, but that disappears over the top of the crossbar. And it is a goal kick to England.
Entering the last 10 minutes, that's not a shape that I want to see England sat in. That defensive line, with the back four, but then actually Nico O'Reilly tucking in to almost make a third central defender, and Marcus Rashford in that left back role, sitting back, sitting deep, inviting pressure, because that's when trouble happens.
Yeah, and England, with the regulations as they are, they've only got 5 seconds. You've got to be quick, and England do take it, and it results in the end. And the ball bouncing out of play off Marco Pasalic for a throw into England. 10 yards inside their own half. 9 minutes to go. Harry Kane, 2-goal Harry Kane. Now 81 goals for England, extending his record. Nico O'Reilly, who had a real chance to score on his first appearance at a World Cup finals, but Livakovic made the save. Those saves have been absolutely vital in making it the match that it is now, and it is still very much alive, even though England are in front. Rodgers, Spence might run onto this. Jed Spence through the middle, and Livakovic comes out and makes the save. What an opportunity that was. He was one-on-one, Spence. James in midfield, he passes it forward. Now here's Rashford for the first time on the left-hand side, but plays it infield to O'Reilly. What a chance for Spence.
It was a wonderful ball from Morgan Rodgers. The weight of that pass into the space for Jed Spence to do what we call the third man run. Came from nowhere, got in behind, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. He ends up trying to finish it, sliding in. It's another good save from the Croatian goalkeeper, but a superb ball from Morgan Rodgers.
Rashford takes on Marco Pasalic, doesn't beat him, and then Harry Kane is picked up for a foul centre field. Croatia take it quickly. Croatia out to the left-hand side it goes again. Perisic is there. He's got the captain's armband now, by the way, after Modric went off. Then it comes back centrally. Petar Sucic. Now Mario Pasalic. Then back to Sucic on the edge of the box, scoops it into the area. O'Reilly does well. He's able to get his body in the right place. And then Rashford is now shielding it in the left-back area, but Rashford's pass away has given it back to Šutalo. And then Kovacic through to Kramaric, 23 yards out. Kovacic again, right-footed pass from him to the right-hand side to Stanisic. Then Marco Pasalic. This is all Croatia now. Their supporters at that end of the stadium to our right are trying to cheer their team on to an equaliser. Gvardiol plays it. Pickford comes and collides with Saka, but he got enough on it to clear it. Still Croatia with the ball on the left, waiting for the delivery to come in, which it does now, and is kneed away by Bukayo Saka inside his penalty area. Suddenly there's an element here of England clinging on.
Yeah, and there's a long way to go. Yeah, that was a good read of the through ball again from Jordan Pickford, but England do seem to be getting deeper and deeper. This is not a situation that they want to be in. You do have to suffer if you're going to progress through tournaments and you're going to win games. You're going to have to suffer at times.
They are inviting Croatia onto them. Marco Pasalic with the ball into the penalty area. Saka is able to volley that away. Very nearly reached past Perisic. Kovacic finds a position and shoots low, but no power on it. Pickford was just able to drop down to his right and field it.
Yeah, he had to hold on to it though, Jordan Pickford. The Croatian attackers were closing on him, and he mishandling there from Jordan Pickford, and he paid for it. Good concentration from the England goalkeeper. Kovacic from distance without any real power. We've seen him do it before in the Premier League. He's got the quality.
Perisic just couldn't do anything other than steer the ball out of play, so it's a throw into England. So England 3-2 up on Croatia. Already Portugal 1, DR Congo 1. 5 Live in the BBC radio coverage. Listen with a BBC Sounds app, or ask your smart speaker, if you've got one, to play 5 Live. 2 more commentaries to come today. Take the radio to bed with you for Ghana, Panama, and then Uzbekistan, Colombia, the last 2 into action at this World Cup. England passing it forward now, up towards Saka, nearer the halfway line. That's probably where England want to see more of him. And then Saka is able to find Rodgers. Spence on the chase. Spence leaves it to Saka. Saka takes it on. It's 3 against 1. Across it comes to Rashford. Rashford, right foot. It's there. 4-2 England. Marcus Rashford has surely sealed the opening win for Thomas Tuchel and his team here in the United States. England soaked up the pressure, and then on the counter-attack they were all over Croatia, and it's 4-2 and an opening 3 points coming England's way.
It's a big win for England. That's exactly what they needed. They were sat back, they were soaking up the pressure. It looked like it was going to be a long finish to the game from England, but then they were so quick on the counter-attack. Once again, Morgan Rodgers and Jed Spence combining. Bukayo Saka gets the break of the ball and he immediately spots Marcus Rashford completely free and unmarked on this left-hand side. He cuts into the box on his favoured right foot, opens himself up, and once he does that, there's only going to be one end result. He finds the bottom left-hand corner of the net, and that's it, an opening 3 points and a big, big win for England.
Yeah, you can feel the relief down there. You can see it actually in the body language of Thomas Tuchel and the England players as well. They went across to Marcus Rashford, just steered it in right foot from an angle from probably 12, 13 yards out, wide of Livakovic, and it's without wishing to tempt fate, and we still have 4 minutes to play. I don't think this is in the balance anymore.
Such an intelligent finish from Marcus Rashford. He didn't rush it. He could have hit the ball first time on his left foot, but he used his left foot. He touched it inside the unrushing Croatian defender, which in turn that took him out the game and opened the whole of the goal up for Marcus Rashford, and he calmly stroked it into the bottom left-hand corner. A really intelligent, calm finish from Marcus Rashford.
And before the restart, Thomas Tuchel takes the opportunity to get Mark Gay onto the field. So John Stones is substituted after winning his 90th cap here tonight for England, and Mark Gay comes on for his first experience of the World Cup. He just missed out, remember, 4 years ago for Qatar, but was a key part of the team, and the expectation was Mark Gay would be in the starting lineup, but not so. However, he does get into the action here tonight and actually gets his first touch of the ball just now, and it bounces back to Konza. So 4-2 to England now, and for the first time in this match, England have got a 2-goal cushion.
Yeah, and now it's about game management for England. Now you can sit deep if you need to. Now you can defend, put everyone behind the ball, and it's about seeing this game out. We know there's going to be a bit of added time bolted on for the hydration break. Depends how much more the time the referee adds on, but the nearer that clock ticks to the 90 minutes and you look up at the stadium clock as a player, you know that you're almost getting there. They've got one more hard shift to put in to get these 3 points.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes of the 90 to play, and then as you probably realise by now, 6 or 7 minutes of added time to play. Spence has done well actually since he's come on, Jed Spence, in the little time, and then James back for Spence, and he uses his pace there. Thomas Tuchel said, didn't he, when he selected him, he's the fastest man in the squad, and he nearly kept that ball in. Not quite though, out for a throw.
Yeah, and the wide areas, again, I'm sure Thomas Tuchel, when you ask him after the game, you know, what messages was he getting on, what did he want from his wide players, he was screaming the whole of this second half, because what worked well for them was what do we say, chalk on the boots. They want the white paint on the boots of the wingers, and that's where a lot of England's joy has come from today.
If they do go on to win, by winning this, England's chances of finishing top of the group are much more likely. You would have to say that. I know they've got Ghana and Panama to play, and Ghana could clearly pose problems. You would expect England would beat Panama, wouldn't you? But I think England can begin to look at that route that would lead them through as group winners. However, Thomas Tuchel won't be doing that. He won't be getting ahead of himself.
You would expect England to win all the games in the group after this. This is by far and away the toughest game in the group, and the manager will want to build momentum.
Yeah, and it was no means certain today. Rodgers, I don't think he'll keep that in. No, he can't. was over the line before he pulled it back, so it is a goal kick to Croatia. So the scoreline, England 4, Croatia 2. 2 goals for Harry Kane in the first half. The first, an early penalty in the 12th minute, a retaken penalty after Livakovic saved the first one. But then Baturina and Musa made it 1-1 and 2-2. But Bellingham's goal right at the start of the second half, in the second minute of the second half, that was crucial. That edged England back in front. And there was an intense period where they did everything but score England. Livakovic with a series of saves. But then late on, in the 85th minute it was, when England just outnumbered Croatia coming forward, and it ended up with Rashford right foot scoring for 4-2.
John, I think England have been excellent offensively. I really have. I think they've been brilliant in the final third going forward. What they've created, the pace that they've shown, the opportunities that they've created, the attempts on goal that they've created. The only issue that Thomas Tuchel have is the defence.
Saka playing the ball across the Croatia penalty area, but it's cleared away out of play by Schutalo for a throw-in to England down the right-hand side. 6 minutes of added time it is. This recreates the scoreline of England's first match at Euro 2004, Paul, if you can remember back that far. Do you remember when Wayne Rooney for Sven-Göran Eriksson's side? And I remember my predecessor, Mike Ingham, coming out with a great line, because the film was around at the time. And when Rooney scored, he said, "This is Wayne's world." As Stanisic plays it back, middle of the half. Kovacic, Thomas Tuchel, still looking slightly edgy, but a good deal more relaxed than he was before that Rashford goal. Now here's Marko Pasalic again. Marko Pasalic against O'Reilly, goes for the byline. O'Reilly blocks the cross, bounces into the penalty area. Anderson is there, and Anderson cuts it back and will play it back to Gay inside the England penalty area. And now England with Harry Kane. Kane's going to play out the full 90 minutes, even though Bellingham and Rice have been substituted. Back it goes to Gay. Left-footed ball up towards Rodgers. Rodgers heads it up in the air and is then challenged by Schutalo. Comes back to Stanisic on the right-hand side. And then Marko Pasalic. In comes Kane with a challenge, and that puts it out of play for a throw-in, which is given England's way, even though Marko Pasalic has stayed down on the pitch. Actually, the referee says the final touch was off Harry Kane, so it's a throw-in to Croatia.
So much to be pleased with today for Thomas Tuchel. We've played against a really strong nation in the opening game, and they've scored 4 goals. Yes, you can criticise, you can say, defensively in the first half, but actually you take the positives from this. There's a lot to look forward to going into this tournament with England, the way that they've been able to score the goals, pick open Croatia. Yes, they've got the 4, but they certainly could have had a lot more as well.
Marko Pasalic again, left-footed ball into the box. That's headed away by James. Comes back to Marko Pasalic, who will pass it back to Stanisic. But no clean sheet for England after all of those clean sheets. 8 out of 8. Didn't concede a single goal in the World Cup qualifying campaign against opposition not as good as Croatia, though, who've got through twice today. Ball deflected into the box. Pickford will race along the line and catch the bouncing ball. So it ends as 10 competitive matches without conceding for England. So the last goal that they conceded before today in a competitive match was in 2024 in Helsinki in the Nations League match there. But both Baturina and Musa on the score sheet against England today. 4-2 the scoreline. And we are now 3 minutes into the 6 of added time, and England and their hordes of supporters inside the Dallas Cowboys Stadium here are just waiting to celebrate the final whistle. Kramaric gets it back, will shoot from distance. That's deflected across the edge of the penalty area and is cleared away by Rashford downfield. And Croatia will start once more. Rashford, that's his 19th goal for England, Marcus Rashford. Oh, that's given away. Oh, but the whistle's gone for a foul on Kovacic. Given it away to Saka, but free kick goes Croatia's way.
Yeah, England won't mind that, breaking the game up, giving away free kicks in those type of areas. A long way from their goal. Gives them time to reset, get back in position. Holding a fairly high defensive line though, still England.
Jed Spence chases out towards the right-hand side, and it's played off Spence for a corner to Croatia. We will have the reaction from down in the tunnel area with Thomas Tuchel and the various players. If you don't hear it there, it'll be on the Football Daily Search BBC Sounds for that, where you can also find Mark Chapman's chat with Olivier Giroud, which I'd quite like to hear. Here is the corner for Croatia, late on in the match, headed across the box, bounces down, should be another goal. No, it's a brilliant block. A brilliant block inside the 6-yard box by Harry Kane in its own 6-yard area. Not sure I've ever seen that before. Saka, as England take it downfield. Saka back to Rashford. Rashford couldn't get the ball back onto his right foot, and it was cleared away down into the full-back position. And it's out for a throw-in to Croatia. And Harry Kane, the great Harry Kane, suddenly turned into a Cape Verde defender there, didn't he?
Well, they once called Brian Robson it, but I think you can label Harry Kane with it as well, Captain Marvel. I mean, he's all action, isn't he, at both ends of the field. Puts his body on the line there. It looks an absolute certain goal for Guardiola. Harry Kane gets a block 3 or 4 yards from his own goal. He's been excellent today, the England skipper. Led by example, led from the front, got his 2 goals, and he's exactly everything that we spoke about in the pre-match build-up about him and how vital he is to this England team.
Yeah. Captain Marvel, Captain Fantastic, various other captains. Here's Anderson into the box, and it bounces away from him. In that interview yesterday, I did ask him, you're almost superhuman, which I know Kelly enjoyed, so I've just said superhuman again, especially for her. Throw in as the national anthem strikes up around the stadium here in Arlington, as Harry Kane gets into position and shoots goalwards, but that is high and all the way over there into the England fans who are there all over that end of the stadium. They've got their Cross of St George flags up in all areas. I particularly enjoy some Bournemouth supporters high up in the stand as Croatia come forward, but the ball is bounced out towards the far side. Kramaric is onto this though. Kramaric angles it. Here's Perisic with a cross. Pickford catches it in the 6-yard box. Yeah, flag right up at the top where those staircases are. And that is it. The final whistle goes, and England have got off to a winning start at the World Cup in the United States. Thomas Tuchel, his first experience being involved in a World Cup, a 4-2 win against Croatia. It had a few dicey moments, but it had some very, very good moments as well. 2 goals for Kane, 1 for Bellingham, 1 for Rashford. Croatia twice equalised at 1-1 and 2-2, but England start with a win.
That's been a really good performance for England and a really good watch. They've looked excellent in forward areas, and I think the attacking prowess that we've got, the way that Thomas Tuchel's rotated that 11 players, may have not been the starting level we expected, but players coming off the bench making an impact. The impact that Saka had, Jed Spence, Morgan Rogers, Marcus Rashford getting his goal, the attitude of those players coming off the bench, Harry Kane getting his 2 goals, leading by example. So many positives that we can take from that performance. Scoring 4 goals in your opening game of the tournament is always good, but let's not underestimate the level of the opponents that we've scored 4 goals against. You know, this is a team that are used to going deep into tournaments. This is a team that have won medals at the last 2 World Cups. You know, they've been a thorn in England's side at times. They're a good, solid, experienced side. Clearly the hardest team that England were going to play in this group. Yes, they've conceded 2, but they've scored 4. They've had a lot more opportunities to score goals as well. Could have been more clinical in the final third. I think that is a super start to a tournament for England. I think Thomas Tuchel will be delighted with what he's seen going forward. Maybe not as much defensively, but that is an excellent result for England.
Well, thank you, Paul. And that banner high in the stands with the England supporters, Serena and Dave, their England flag has written on it World Cup Honeymoon 2010 in one section, so written across the middle of it is still married. So well done to Serena and Dave. They're here and they'll have enjoyed this, I'm sure. England starting with a 4-2 win against Croatia.
Well, that'll certainly help marital harmony. A 4-2 victory over Croatia. John Murray, thank you very much. Paul Robinson is going to stay with us. Connor Cody and Steph Horton are here in the studio. Paul, not a perfect performance from England, but a really solid one and a very welcome victory.
Yeah, not a perfect performance, as you quite rightly say, but I think, what do you want from an opening game of the tournament? Normally teams start slowly in the tournament. You look at teams in historically that have won tournaments, not necessarily always topped their group or won their opening games and gone through with ease. That was a performance with a lot of promise from England. Yes, defensively you can pick a couple of holes, but actually the way that they applied themselves going forward, the pace that they had in the wide areas, the link-up play with Harry Kane, so many positives. I think Thomas Tuchel will be absolutely delighted inwardly. I don't think he'll say that openly in the media. I think he'll say there's still things to work on. Yes, I'm pleased, but we can do different things better. His half-time talk was very, very important. And the tactical changes that he made in the second half, there is certainly work in progress there, but that's a brilliant start for a tournament for England. It really is.
As the stadium announcers play It's Coming Home, you might want to take a look at what England's route to the final looks like. If you search BBC England route to final, it'll take you to the BBC Sport website and you can plot out how potentially that might happen. If you're getting excited by that opening 4-2 result against, as Paul was saying, Connor, a really good Croatia side who are experienced at international level and who are used to progressing through these competitions.
You sound like you're getting a bit carried away there, Kelly.
I'm just saying, if people want to, let people be happy. Let them dream is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, listen, I think Paul's absolutely nailed it. I don't think we want perfect now. We want perfect in a few weeks, don't we? Let's be honest. We don't need perfect now. What we want is a good performance. We want to see England scoring goals. We want to see England on the front foot. And a big thing for me tonight watching that game was the subs. We mentioned before the game about players who are going to finish the game and finish the tournament. The team at the end of the tournament, where we hope it will be from the final, if that's where we're going to get to and that's where we want to get to, will be different to tonight, you'd expect. So the subs coming on, and I thought the way he made his substitutions were brave, they were bold, they came on, they affected the game, they wanted to play and they wanted to perform. And the biggest thing I can take from tonight is not just the goals, which were fantastic, and I thought England were really, really good, but the players who come on gave him a real, real headache, and I think that's the biggest thing for a manager.
And the other thing that they did was allow him, as Paul and Connor have said, to look at sort of slight tactical tweaks, to take a look not just at the individuals but also the structure of the team.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Croatia did that as well. They changed formation, they went to 4 at the back because they were chasing the game, and we adapted really, really well. And when you've got the likes of Rashford, Saka, even Spence coming off the bench, Rodgers, I think Spence was brilliant when he came on. He made really good forward runs. It allowed Saka to get 1v1 with the defenders, and I think for us, as this tournament goes on, it is going to be them tactical tweaks that we need to do, and in doing them in the moment and not waiting until 85 minutes, being able to do them when he sees necessary, and that was certainly the case tonight.
Paul, I'm just having a look at what's going on in the stadium, and while the England fans, who will have paid an absolute fortune to get there and paid a fortune for the tickets for the game and paid a fortune once they're inside the stadium as well for any drinks and food they wanted, they're making the absolute most of it, and they're making sure they celebrate every single second of this. But the England players, while they're over there and they're applauding the fans and spending time with them, they're very subdued. They know that this is just an opening game, it's a good performance, but it's a platform to build on rather than job done.
Yep, they've just had a good sing-along to Wonderwall with that huge section of England supporters behind the goal. And to put it into pictures for you, it's what Bayern Munich do after a game. Obviously, Harry Kane's used to doing that, and the players go over there and they stand in a group and they appreciate the fans. And it's not necessarily that you go over there as a player. Well, I certainly did. You didn't go over there to appreciate your own performance and say, look, congratulate us, look how well we've done. As the players, they go over there and they appreciate what the fans have done to get here, what sacrifices they made, what financial outlays that they've had. And as players, you appreciate this incredible wall of England support. And at the end of a game like that, the mutual appreciation, because England are going to need those fans going through this tournament, and the fans will back this team. And there was a mutual appreciation there, especially from the players, as you say, without getting too carried away, without getting too overhyped. First game, but really good performance, excellent result. And by the way, what a brilliant occasion.
Do you think the fans can get excited, Steph? Just on the look, we can only get excited on what we've seen from the first game, whichever country you support. But can England fans get excited about this one?
I think for me, at this moment in time, those fans that have travelled, those that have watched back at home, why not get excited? I think when you see the team and we know how much potential there is to get better, we've got the experience in these tournaments, and yeah, for me, I think we're all sitting here in the studio and we're thinking, okay, they can get better in this area, but we have so many good players. That's what I'm excited about, and I think that's why we could get excited. Of course, it's the first game. The next game's Ghana, which we were expected to win. So let's see how we go in this next game. Let's see if we start to kind of kick into more gears, because I feel as though now we've got the feel of the first game. It's out of the way, and we've got the 3 points that we really well deserved.
The Gareth Southgate era, while successful for England, sometimes was a bit of a chore. to get through the group stages. Some of the games weren't necessarily the most aesthetically pleasing. Is this a new era under Tuchel? Is this kind of, 4-2 a mark of what's to come in this tournament? Maybe something that is a bit more adventurous?
Yeah, and I think that's what the FA will tell you Thomas Tuchel come in for. I think he can come in for the World Cup. I think he come in for the major tournaments. And let's not just look at this one game, so let's look at the qualifying stage as well. And you can say we didn't play against as good a teams as what we played tonight, but now we have. And we've played against the top side with top players, and we've gone and done a job on them. And we're all talking here now about the game, thinking that they can get better, which I think is a real exciting prospect. Not just getting excited at the way England played, but let's be excited the way they can get better, because they can get better again. They're a fantastic team. Some of the goals tonight were outstanding. We've seen the goal at the start of the second half from Jude. Outstanding the way he runs in behind. And we spoke about the finish, didn't we, Steph, about hitting it into the ground, and sometimes them scuffy ones end up going in the corner, and it did. It was a brilliant goal, and I loved how animated the manager was on the side, telling him what to do, where to go. And then I've mentioned his substitutions as well, and I just thought he should take a lot of credit for tonight, because I think the game itself was how the first game at a major tournament goes, but then he made the changes to make sure we got through it in the end.
And also settling the players in the second half, because we heard from the assistant manager Anthony Barry at half time, who was saying, do you know what, there was a nervous energy about the players. They were maybe settling into fearful patterns, was the phrase that he used. For them to be able to settle into that and build on that confidence, how important do you think that was?
It's massive, and I think we've got to think about the players that are making the World Cup debuts today. You look at like Nico O'Reilly, Elliot Anderson, had fantastic seasons with their clubs, but a World Cup is just another level up. I think to represent your country, imagine how nervous you are as a player, and sometimes it takes you a half to get into the game, and you can see that. We've seen it last night, Kelly, on the game with Norway and Iraq. Them hydration breaks have come quite crucial in terms of that tactical, to be able to get messages across, and I think that was definitely the case for England at half time, just to get his players in. Tuchel to speak, to maybe have a few tactical tweaks, and we've seen that with Jude's goal in terms of the pattern was what they were trying to do in the first half, but in the second half I think there was more kind of conviction with it. I think we had 2 or 3 runners in behind, and I think then runners away to try and allow Jude to get into the box and get his shot away. So I think Tuchel will be really happy. I think now we've got the taste of the World Cup, we've started our journey, and now it's looking forward to the next game.
Paul, I wonder what you think about the style of play in this game, because Wayne Rooney, who's on the show that's on iPlayer at the moment as they're giving all the reaction to that England win, said it was a great performance and the most exciting first game of a tournament that he's seen for a long time.
Yeah, and I agree, because I think the way that Thomas Tuchel stuck to his plan, he didn't go defensive, he didn't try and hold on to what he's got, he didn't go to a back five. He realised that his team's best form of defence was attack. The quality of players that they've got in those areas and the chances they were creating, the opportunities. I mean, the Croatia goalkeeper was a candidate for man of the match. I mean, Harry Kane got player of the match inside the stadium here. But actually the amount of chances that England created were because they were playing to your strengths. And so many times as an England team over the years, you look at your opposition and you try and defend your weaknesses. Under previous England managers, we've done that, and I've said that so many times. They've defended their weaknesses and tried not to lose games rather than playing to their strengths. Today we've seen them play to their strengths, and even when they're only 1-up with 20 minutes to go, they made positive changes, continued playing to their strengths, and they got their rewards by doing that.
And Paul, as you said, Harry Kane was given the Player of the Match award, and we can hear from him now.
Yeah, I thought a game of 2 halves, really. I thought first half we was okay. Really disappointed to concede in the way we did, the way we dropped off. And credit to the manager. The manager gave us a speech at half-time just to say, look, if we lose, we lose. We lose in our way. And I think you saw that, how the way we come out in the second half. We went full gas, and they couldn't live with it. And that's the level we have to set for every game. So credit to everyone. The first game of the tournament, a great result against a tough side.
Anthony Barry told us at half-time it was confused and complicated. So what did the manager release? What did he say?
Yeah, I just think without the ball, we went a little bit more aggressive. It was difficult. They got great players, you know, when Luca's dropping in and you're trying to figure out who to pick up. But in the second half, we felt like let's just go. If we see a man in front, we go. And just the intensity we went at, I think that's our biggest strength. So we're going to have to use that more this tournament.
Is that the template? Is that the level now you've set? and higher maybe, that sort of early part in the second half.
That second half for sure. And even the way we controlled the game, once we went ahead, we never really looked like we was in danger. We controlled possession well, and then obviously scored on the counter-attack, which you can do in these type of games. So we had a spell there, first 20 minutes, where we could have scored 3 or 4. But in the end, it's 3 points on the board and a great start.
And Jude Bellingham at tournament level again, like you, can be good when it matters.
Yeah, great goal, great run, great finish. But you can see the desire from Jude. You can see it in training. The competition we have in the place is high level. So whoever plays, everyone is ready. And you saw Jude was itching to get out there. And what a fantastic goal.
Sweet Caroline is already playing. Well done. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you very much.
Harry Kane celebrating England's 4-2 win, and again it's that same tone that we saw when the England players were in front of their supporters, which is very satisfied with the performance, very satisfied with the result, but obviously after the first game of this World Cup not getting too carried away. I thought it was interesting that he talked, Conor, about the intensity, which is fine in an air-conditioned stadium as Dallas is, because the semi-final, the first of the semi-finals is going to be held there. Not necessarily going to be the case when they go to Boston, for example, in the next game. So they're going to have to work out how to manage games in different ways.
Yeah, 100%. But at the same time, we also heard him say about what Thomas Tuchel said at half-time, and if we lose, we lose, but we lose being us. Now, they are front-footed. He said he put the foot on the gas and he went for the game. And I know exactly what you're saying, Kelly, but that made me think that's going to be them. He's picked an athletic side. If we look at the squad that Thomas Tuchel's picked, and I'm not going back to what he's picked again, but he's picked an athletic group of players, and that's how they play. That's what they're going to do. So I can't imagine, and they might have to taper it down a little bit and have breathers where they sit in, but I want to see this England. I want to see this England on the front foot. I want to see this England going for the game. I want to see the England we've seen tonight, and whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's air conditioning, I don't think it matters to them. I think they're going to play how they want to play, and I think the start of the second half, what I loved about that, he scored 2 goals in the first half, by the way. He doesn't even mention the 2 goals he scored. Just mentions the start of the second half, about that being the level, not the fact that
and Jude Bellingham's goal.
Yeah, and not the fact that he scored 2 goals in the first half, and that sums up the captain of our country, but it also sums up the team and the selflessness of them.
Let's talk then about Harry Kane, and we talked a lot about him in the build-up to the match, but he's more than delivered on the big stage yet again. He had the penalty and he had the header in the first half.
Yeah, I think for me, I think we spoke about mentality before the game, and I think even the penalty incident to miss, but then to have to stand up and retake again. A lot of people might have crumbled in that moment, but he just showed his experience. But I think we call him a moment player, we call him our talisman, and we call him our skipper because of their moments that he's produced tonight. And I think not only the 2 goals, but in terms of his work rate off the ball, but that ability to know when to drop in, to be that outlet for Jordan Pickford when Croatia were really pressing high and they caused just a lot of problems, especially in that first half. And I think, for me, that performance just typifies Harry Kane. I think the ability to just be there when we need him has been something that he's shown over the last 4 tournaments, and he's continued to do it again.
And Paul, not just the performance typifying Harry Kane, but also the interview and the fact that it was almost as if those 2 goals that he scored in the match were incidental. It was just about the team performance. He was going out of his way to praise other players.
He is without doubt in the form of his life at the moment, and that's saying something for a player who's achieved what he has in his career. I know he didn't win things at Tottenham, but look at where Tottenham are since he's left. Look at where they would have been without him. And you look at the goals that he scored at Bayern Munich, and he's matured as a person, as a player. And I said to you before the game, I said England can cope without Jude Bellingham. England can't cope without Harry Kane, both off the field and on the field. He's matured as a man, as a leader, as a person. And then you see the way that he plays, and he's almost guaranteed that he's going to score a goal. He's the type of player, and those 2 sat with you will tell you as well, you look around the dressing room and you know when you've got somebody like that in the dressing room, you know you've got half a chance today, more than half a chance. If he's missing from your team, you know that you're going to have to adapt, you're going to have to change. He is that important to England. He is irreplaceable for England, the way that they play. And we talk about the way that he adapts his game. In the first half particularly, dropping in almost halfway inside his own half, and the joy that they had with Madueke in the wide areas, because he drops in with his right foot. He naturally gravitates to playing the ball out on this right hand side, so he drops in, he swivels, and he plays Madueke in. Most of the time it's very, very difficult for defenders to pick up. He's such a good, intelligent player.
Conor, we need to talk about that Jude Bellingham goal and that Jude Bellingham performance. Harry Kane singled it out as a really good goal from Bellingham, and he's a player who has delivered for England and has had spectacular moments for England, and yet there was still a little bit of a conversation about whether he would be included in this England squad. Is he the kind of big game player? Maybe not at Harry Kane's level of consistency and longevity yet, but is he that kind of big game player?
Yeah, and the conversations come around you because of the heights he set himself, because he plays for Real Madrid, because he's one of our best players, because he can create moments at the flip of a coin whenever he wants to, because he's got that quality. So the reason we all talk about him is because he's that good, and because that's what happens when you're that good of a player. Now, I think Harry Kane's on his own level for me at this moment in time. Jude Bellingham is well on his way, but let's talk about the career Harry Kane's at and the career Jude Bellingham's now having, being at Real Madrid. He's an incredible footballer. He reminded me a little bit today of a kid in a playground. You know when you play for school and you're always the best player? And he was flying around everywhere and he's flying in with tackles. My hero growing up was Steven Gerrard, and that's what Steven Gerrard used to do. Now, I'm not here to compare because Jude Bellingham's a wonderful, wonderful footballer in his own right, but he was absolutely everywhere today. And then even then, Thomas Tuchel makes the change and sits him as a 6 until he brings him off. And that in itself is, again, is more responsibility. So we were all questioning things before the game. Would he play? Would he do this? Now Thomas Tuchel's giving him more responsibility to say, right now I trust you to go and sit in as a 6. I'm going to bring off my vice captain in Declan Rice, and you can go and sit in there for me for 5 minutes before I bring you off. So it's more responsibility. I thought he was outstanding tonight, and I think if we've got him in behind Harry Kane, with Morgan Rogers to come on, with Marcus Rashford to come on, Bukayo Saka, I think we're in a real healthy place.
I want to come back to that point that you made about having the versatility to be able to go and play at 6 and go and play as a defensive midfielder for a bit, because I think that's one of the hallmarks of the squad that Thomas Tuchel has picked, is that the players are versatile in there. So remind me if I don't get to it. I am going to come back to that, but I wanted to ask you about Jude Bellingham as well, and the fact that he is able to deliver on the big stage yet again for England, and in the midst of a lot of noise around him, and you know, as Conor was saying, still a player who's, although he's already achieved great things, is still pretty much at the beginning of his career. He's a young man.
I think we underestimate how young he is, and I think in terms of his journey, it's different to a lot of players that go through the England system. I think to be in as this is his 3rd tournament, and to be the guy that we look to in a lot of moments, and I think there's only a certain handful of players that really like the responsibility of carrying the whole team on their shoulders, and I've got a feeling that Jude likes that. I think the reaction from himself, from the team talk from Thomas Tuchel, you can tell that he was like, I'm going to be the man that's going to sort this out. I think even his ability to go and drop in between Elliot Anderson and Rice to get on the ball and try and make things tick, I think that's what impresses. And I think for me, is he an out-and-out 10? I don't know, because I think he's so good at every role, and I think that's what Tuchel's lucky with Jude Bellingham, is that he can slot in, he can adapt his game, and when we need him, he's always stepped up, and I think the goal really typified what he's about.
Paul, I want to ask you about the fact that he does play at Real Madrid, Jude Bellingham. You've got Harry Kane, who plays at Bayern Munich, and historically all of the players would have played in the Premier League, certainly in England. And I just wonder if that kind of European influence, if that kind of broader perspective can help the team.
Oh, well, absolutely, yeah. 6 players coming into this World Cup squad, non-English clubs, and it's a record for an England team going into a World Cup to have 6 at non-English clubs. So that eclectic mix will certainly help the knowledge of the game, and the players playing at top level as well. John mentioned it in commentary. When you look at the amount of trophies that they've won, 22 of the 26 players have won a trophy in the last 2 seasons. I mean, it's quite an incredible record that they've got. These players, and I spoke about it before the game, about going tournament experience and competitive experience, all that amounts to putting a side together and a collective side of what we saw today. These players are now, the majority of them are used to these big tournaments, because when I was younger, coming you got fast-tracked into a squad far too quickly when I was younger. If you were good in the under-21s, they'd go and sit you on the bench rather than allow you to play in a 21s tournament. So major tournament experience is huge.
Paul, for now, we're going to take a little break because we're going to go and hear from Anthony Gordon with John Murray.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. First chance I've been able to say hello to Barcelona's Anthony Gordon. There must be a lot of emotions flying around for you, Anthony, after being involved in that. Tell us about them.
No, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, and that just topped it off. First World Cup game, something I've dreamed of since a little kid, and truly special game. I'm so glad we won. It was a difficult first half. Their goals kind of came from nowhere and stunned us a little bit, set us back on our tracks. Not what we wanted, but we come out really strong second half and got what we wanted.
Shows what a good team they are, what strong opponents they are.
Yeah, they were really good, and I think that can't be underestimated when you look at the score of the game. To dominate an opponent like that in terms of attempts and to win 4-2. You know, that they've gone really deep in tournaments for the last 10 years, so that can't be underestimated.
I feel like I've spoken to you quite a few times over the recent years when you've done firsts, like first England cap, first England goal, and here you are now, first time playing at the World Cup.
No, it's special. Like I said, something I've dreamed of as a kid, but it's not about me. I don't want to make it about me. I think it's self-centeredness is a disease, and I don't want to become a part of that. It's about the team, it's about how we perform, it's about the subs coming on. You've seen Rashi come on, made an incredible impact, Bakayo, Morgan, so it's a collective, and I don't want to make it about me.
Yeah, how good do you think the performance was today?
I think first half was good in parts, but overall probably not where we wanted it to be. But the manager said exactly what we needed to hear going into the second half, and I thought the first 15 minutes of the second half was very special, and that's what took the game back for us, and that's when we started to dominate. And then the last half of the game was when the subs made the difference.
But a great feeling to be off and running.
Of course, you want to win the first game. It's a lot of pressure. I think you see that in the first half. I think we felt a bit tight. That was the difference. I think we loosened up second half, but it's always important to get off to a winning start, so I'm really glad we've done it.
Well done, Anthony.
Thank you.
Very good. Congratulations. Yes. Back to you, Kelly.
Thank you, John. Very selfless interview there from Anthony Gordon, Barcelona's Anthony Gordon, which has kind of gone under the radar a little bit because the World Cup was getting underway when that news was announced. But yeah, he is one of those players who's now going to be playing abroad. So maybe the European influence isn't quite as strong in him just yet. but it is certainly a factor in this England side, and with a German manager as well.
Yeah, the influence is strong on him with his Spanish. We heard his Spanish.
It's incredible, isn't it?
No, it's unbelievable. But to be fair, I think I've played with Anthony at Everton. He's a wonderful footballer, really, really good footballer. His self-belief is through the roof. So the fact that I see him, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised I see him playing at a World Cup. I'm not surprised I see him starting at a World Cup. And we mentioned before about how England want to play, and Harry Kane kind of said it in his interview about what the manager said at half-time. We stick to being us. Anthony Gordon does that every single week for Newcastle. One of his biggest strengths is pressing the ball. He's pressing the nearest man and running and getting after them and being aggressive on the press and going winning the ball back. So that for me is a reason why Anthony Gordon plays in this team, because Thomas Tuchel loves that side of the game, but the self-belief Anthony Gordon has to find himself in this moment playing in a World Cup is full credit to himself, because he had it when I was at Everton, but he's just built and built and built, and obviously finds himself now at one of the biggest clubs in the world.
On the self-belief, because we talk about it a lot, and you strike me as somebody who doesn't suffer fools gladly, and there's a difference between self-belief because that's how good you are, and self-belief because you're a little bit deluded.
Yeah.
No, but there's a difference, isn't there? And he just seems to have that sort of quiet faith in his own ability.
No, and the self-belief, but you've then got to show it. You've then got to go and show it, and he's showing it. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he's had a quiet game today, and I wouldn't sit here and go, Anthony Gordon was outstanding, but I know...
Which maybe is why he's saying, I don't want to make this about my
100%,
performance.
and also that's somebody with his head screwed on. He's a player who's thinking about it. He's a player who's being a team player, and that's what we want to see as England fans, and that's what we want to look at. So I thought his interview was really good. Can he get better? Of course he can. We've spoke about it, about all the lads tonight. Can they improve and get better? But I thought his interview was brilliant, talking about the team and the subs who came on and made obviously an instant impact.
Let's hear from Noni Madueke with John.
Yes, Noni Madueke, Premier League winner, now World Cup player. Tell us about how you felt it went today.
Yeah, no, it was a good game. Bits we did really well, bits we can improve on. But yeah, I think overall, from a team perspective, it was a good game. From an individual perspective, it's a good game, good start, and we're just raring to go now for the next game.
What did it mean to you to get the nod to start the first match?
Yeah, no, it's a great feeling to play in an England shirt, and then especially at a World Cup. So yeah, I don't really think about whether I start or I finish the game. I just know that when I come on the pitch, I'll try and have a good impact on my team and help us win.
Nevertheless, that's a childhood ambition ticked off, isn't it?
Yeah, 100% play a game at the World Cup, ticked. So, yeah, we go again in 6 days.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying. You know, there were some dicey moments, but the good was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The good was really good. Of course, there were some moments where I think we lacked a little bit of rhythm, a bit of indecision, which we'll look back on and rectify for sure. But listen, when we turned it on, we looked really scary. So, yeah.
And that was a big deal, wasn't it, against that team in the first match?
Yeah, they're no mugs. It's a good team, very good team. I think they probably had some of the players that were in the World Cup final, a few additions back. So, listen, it's a great team with good experience, and they gave us a real good test. But I think the way we came back in the second half and flipped the switch was impressive.
Well done, Noni. Well done today. Cheers. Thank you. Kelly.
Thank you very much. Noni Madueke sounding quite animated in that interview. He was the player who won the penalty for England and had a lively game.
Yeah, he did. I think, especially in the first half, he looked like the player that was more threatening for England. I think he got himself in opportunities where he was dribbling at Guardiola. He was trying to get in the box. He put a great cross in for Bellingham, and we nearly scored just after Kane scored that penalty. So I think, in terms of World Cup debuts, he could be really happy. And I think, like what we spoke about before, Kelly, I think when you're starting before Saka, there's a lot of pressure in the sense of, we know what Saka can deliver. What can you deliver on a world-class stage? And I think he did well. I think we give him the ball as much as we possibly can, and that's what we want from our wingers, is just to be on the front foot, driving our players and trying to create opportunities.
And it shows, Paul, the depth that's in this squad, that if you are missing someone like Saka, who's been something of a talisman for England in the past, almost because people warm to him so much, almost like a mascot, really, for England, certainly as far as the fans are concerned. But if you can replace him with someone like Noni Madueke, who will deliver, it's an indication of the depth.
Yeah, and the substitutions that he made, they were brave substitutions, they were clever substitutions, and they were substitutions that affected the game. But you can see there, any of those players that came on, if they started the next game, you wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we were half expecting Saka might start. We didn't know Rodgers wouldn't start. We didn't know whether Rashford would start. Jed Spence we didn't expect to start. Mark Gay was one that we were talking about as well. So out of the substitutions that he made, 4 out of the 5, there was a question mark over whether they would have actually started this game or not. And that shows you the ability that he's got, and he can rotate in those positions, key positions as well, not positions in the team that you take lightly, goal scoring positions, wide areas, your forward thinking players. Goals win football matches, and there's a lot of players in that squad that can create, that can make a difference, that can start games. And also it looks like he's got the unity in the squad that if players aren't starting games, they're not sulking about it, they're coming off the bench and having an impact like the ones did today.
Now, Paul, I know you're paying close attention to everything that we're saying this evening, but I want you to listen to this one, because I'm going to ask you about it off the back of it. Joe Hart has been speaking on the iPlayer, where they've got reaction to this England game and this England victory with Wayne Rooney and Joe Hart with Mark Chapman. But he's been talking about Croatia's first goal, a long-range strike. Jordan Pickford got his hand to it, but he's been looking at whether the World Cup ball might be deceiving the goalkeepers.
I honestly feel like this ball is coming onto the goalkeepers a lot faster than they feel it is off the foot. Jordan Pickford flies at this ball and he just doesn't... You'll ask, why has he gone with his thumb rather than his hand? It just feels like it's on him. Now, I noticed this with Mbappe against Edouard Mendy earlier in the tournament. As it leaves his foot, it's a decent strike, of course it is, but Edouard Mendy's a Champions League winner and he just doesn't time. He just doesn't get his hands up, he doesn't time it. And I'm noticing it more and more with the higher balls. The goalkeepers, these are world-class goalkeepers at World Cup level. And I think as the tournament goes on and the guys get more used to the atmosphere and the speed of the ball and these specific World Cup footballs, we're going to see those shots saved.
Is that a timing issue with feet or with hands?
I think with hands. I think it's with hand-eye. I think the higher balls. No, I'm not saying Jordan should save that. I think it's a really, really good strike. But it's because he's such a good keeper and so sharp that he actually gets himself in a position where he can save it. But it's just the speed of the ball, and he doesn't quite time the tip that he's looking for, and it ends up going through his thumb rather than hitting his fingers and going around the post or over the bar.
Paul, we've seen a number of long-range strikes in the Premier League this season, and sometimes that's just down to players working really hard at it and improving their technique and making it difficult for goalkeepers. But Jordan Pickford struggled with one today. Mendy, as we were hearing from Joe, struggled. Zidane had a long-range strike against him from Lionel Messi. Obviously, Zidane is the Algeria goalkeeper. You're not taking you back to France to France in what year was that? 2006 was the Zidane World Cup. Anyway, I've lost track of time. It's just distracted me from my point, Paul, which is...
The balls are a bit wobbly.
Is it the ball?
I can see that point. Whether it's going to be a coincidence or whether that's going to be a thing, I think time will tell. Because I certainly looked at it in commentary, and then from this high vantage point, you couldn't really pick it up. But when you saw it on the replay, it's almost like he went under it, Jordan Pickford, with his hand, and as Joe said, it hit his thumb rather than the actual solid palm of his hand. Which, if he'd hit that, it would have been deflected away. And I saw that again in the Argentina game last night, like you rightly say. That was an interesting one. The Algeria goalkeeper, he had one or two, and there has been that. Will be interesting to hear from the goalkeepers, because I certainly had it in 2006. The maker of the football at that time, they went for a solid one-piece ball, and it wasn't great in the wet, and it wasn't great, when it was moving in the air. It was moving a lot, and obviously with playing at different temperatures and different altitudes, it will have an effect on the ball. Obviously Mexico is going to be played at altitude, not necessarily hot, but then you go to the likes of Boston, New York, the heat and the humidity, that's going to play a factor, and whether actually there's a factor of being inside an air-conditioned stadium with that particular ball. Maybe it behaves differently in different atmospheres. It'll be interesting to hear the goalkeeper's point of view when we get to interview one.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll be able to hear them through the course of the tournament. They'll probably want to have the evidence of maybe more than one game to try and get a real read on that. I'm having flashbacks now to the Jabulani. That was in 2010 in South Africa.
Yeah.
That was the one that's kind of mired in my brain. To go back to the point that I said I was going to come to, which is the squad that Thomas Tuchel has chosen, because I know you were really impressed with his substitutions, not just in terms of the personnel, but in terms of the tactical tweaks that he made, Connor. He's got players who can do lots of different things. That's been something that he's set out to do right from the beginning. I know we're only one game in, but are we starting to see the effects of that?
Without a doubt, I think you're seeing tonight, and I know we'll keep on talking about the substitution, but I think it's a massive part of a squad, and I think it's a massive part on, if you're going to win a tournament, you're going to need everybody to come on and do a job for you. And what's really interesting is about every interview we've heard, everybody spoke about the team. Everybody spoke about the team. So it's obviously something coming from the manager. This is obviously something he's built, not just in the last 2-3 weeks before this competition, but the last 6, 7, 8 months. This is something he's building camp on camp leading into this to make sure that everybody's got a role to play. And I listened to Jordan Henderson's interview the other day, or his press conference, and he said the exact same stuff about everybody's got a role to play, everybody's got to do this. So again, you go back to the players who come on. Reece James coming in as a 6, Jed Spence coming on. Next minute he's got a one-on-one with a goalkeeper and he can score. So I think it's a huge part on if you're going to win a tournament. And I mentioned before about this is why he's been brought in. So previous tournaments when Gareth's been in charge, he was a wonderful, wonderful manager, and everybody used to say he might not have made changes early enough. Now we're seeing change upon change upon change, and we're bringing off someone like Declan Rice.
Yeah.
We never see Declan Rice coming off the pitch.
That's
ever.
the one that raised eyebrows, wasn't it?
And believe you me, if they end up losing the game and we're sat here, everybody's going, he should never have brought Declan Rice off. But we win the game quite comfortably in the end against the top team, and no one really bats an eyelid about it. But it's a real brave sub to do that, to bring Declan Rice off and put your number 10 as a 6, and then you're right back as a 6 when you bring the 10 off. So I just think he's doing the right things, and I like how he is. I like how animated he is on the side. I like how Paul mentioned it in commentary about our wingers getting chalk on the boots. So that might be an idea why we played Madueke and not Saka, because it's a left footer then on the right hand side coming inside. So there's loads of things to be impressed about tonight for me.
Just a quick one from you, Steph, on that, and about the fact that there is that versatility which helps within the game, but can also help if there are injuries, if there's fatigue creeping into the squad probably from the conditions at some stage.
I think because Rice came off, it's about managing his minutes, and I think we know that he's going to start every game. There's no question about that. He's had a crazy season with Arsenal, played a lot of football. He's even said himself that he's been nursing a bit of a back injury, so it made sense if we were a bit more comfortable like we were when he came off. We all thought, Rice never normally comes off, but I think he's clever in the fact that he has got that ability to change when he needs to change, but also, like what you said, Kelly, there's 4 or 5 more weeks to go. Anything can happen, injuries, suspensions, whatever that might be, and we have to be able to cover everything, and I feel that with this squad we have done that.
The next game that's going to be live here on 5 Live is Ghana against Panama. That is also in England's group. England top at the moment with that victory over Croatia, and we'll find out what happens between Ghana and Panama. That is a midnight kickoff, but we're going to have more reaction to England's 4-2 victory in their opening match of this World Cup against Croatia after the BBC News with Bethan Holmes.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
In the last half an hour, the White House has confirmed President Trump has remotely signed a peace deal with Iran. State media in Tehran have also confirmed the signing, although it's unclear how this differs from a formal ceremony expected to take place in Switzerland later this week. But we now know the details of the agreement, fighting to end on all fronts, including in Lebanon. It'll see Iran never having a nuclear weapon. The Strait of Hormuz will be toll-free for 60 days, and there'll be a $300 billion fund for the reconstruction and economic development of Iran. Back here, and Sir Keir Starmer's urged Andy Burnham not to initiate an immediate leadership challenge if he wins the Makerfield by-election, and Sir Keir's made it clear that he would fight in any contest for his job. Our political editor is Chris Mason.
there'd be so many Labour MPs thinking, blimey, if he can't win there, then we are all, or a lot of us are, collectively stuffed. Whereas, if Andy Burnham does win, his argument will be the central argument he would take into any leadership race, which is that he would say, I'm the Labour guy who can beat reform, and that is the challenge for our party of our time.
A full list of candidates in tomorrow's by-election is available on the BBC News website and app. There are also 2 by-elections tomorrow in Scotland. Voters in Arbroath and Broughty Ferry, as well as Aberdeen South, will go to the polls after their MPs won seats in the Scottish Parliament last month. Jeremy Clarkson says he has aggressive prostate cancer. He revealed the diagnosis in an episode of Clarkson's Farm. He said it had been caught early. And Prince Harry and Meghan will bring their 2 children to the UK next month. It'll be the first time the Prince will have visited with his family in 4 years. It's not yet known if he'll meet the King during the trip.
5 Live Sports.
After the final whistle has sounded.
I think it's safe to say there's only one place to start.
Dive deeper into the World Cup on BBC Sounds.
I think it's the right decision.
It restores your faith in sport.
Discover a range of podcasts featuring analysis, in-depth interviews and stories you may never have heard before.
We have a slight problem with our commentary position. And I said, we can't see half of the pitch. From the Football Daily to the Wayne Rooney Show and Gamescom, the Steve Bratnell podcast.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sports.
At the FIFA World Cup 2026.
With Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Across it comes to Rashford. Rashford right foot. It's there. 4-2 England. Marcus Rashford has surely sealed the opening win for Thomas Tuchel and his team here in the United States. England soaked up the pressure, and then on the counter-attack they were all over Croatia, and it's 4-2 and an opening 3 points coming England's way.
Marcus Rashford wrapped it up for England after a double from Harry Kane and a goal from Jude Bellingham, who we can hear from now.
For me personally, it was nice to kind of put some of the noise aside and just show my country, show my teammates how committed I am to helping us try and win football matches. I think it was a great team performance. Second half, first half, we still got the intensity right, but with the ball not quite there. And second half, I think we put it all together nicely. And again, to contribute, to help my team, help my country is one of the biggest honours. And regardless of the noise outside, that honour doesn't change for me at all.
You've mentioned the noise there twice. What's it been like for you? Because we've heard this week your manager and Jordan Henderson say you have the X factor, and your goal showed that, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good pass from Elliott and put me in a good position and took it into the box, and pretty normal goal really, except for the pass was top level. And I mean, grateful to them to kind of lifting me up in that position. Obviously it's been a bit of a tougher season for me, but I feel fresh, I feel sharp and strong, and ready to give everything that I have. So it's nice to hear those kind of things.
Have you arrived here almost with an added impetus?
A little bit, yeah. I think I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and
do you play best when you're like that?
I think so, yeah. I think that helps me a lot to find that focus early in the game, to find that intensity. I know it's part of being a footballer. I don't disgrudge or hold a grudge against anyone who says bad things about me, because sometimes I do deserve it. And today I think it was nice to try and show people and remind people what I'm about.
That was Jude Bellingham after scoring for England in their 4-2 victory against Croatia. We've talked about the positives for England. We've talked about some of the performances, but having 2 defenders here with Conor Cody and Steph Houghton and Paul Robinson, a goalkeeper, it makes sense to talk about where they can perhaps improve after, the first game of this World Cup, but defensively, in terms of how they could have prevented both of the goals, Steph, that there are problems there that can be ironed out.
I think you've seen in the second half there was definitely a lot more clarity in terms of people's roles. I think in terms of just, OK, whoever's in front with the ball, I'm going to go and press as hard as I can, because I think there's nothing worse if you're in the back four or as a goalkeeper when there's that little bit of indecision. And I think there was times in the first half, especially when the goals, not necessarily the first goal, but I think definitely the second goal, I think you look at where Harry Kane is, he's pretty much in front of the centre halves, and we don't need him there. We need him higher, we need him maybe forcing the centre halves to go down one side of the pitch. And I think it was spoken about at half time quite clearly that the identity, what England is about, is the high pressure. And I think, of course, we can get better, we can avoid them goals. I think if you kind of went through them, looked at them tomorrow, which I'm presuming they would do, we give easy chances away. But like what we said before, it's the first game. We've got to try and ride into this, and it's a learning. I think next time we go play against Ghana, we know what the boys will be doing. They'll be on the front foot. They'll try and press aggressively, and everybody reacts off that.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, Connor, it's not about trying to stop every opportunity. That's going to happen within games. But they will go and they'll look at it and they'll look at where they can improve.
Without a doubt, and they'll analyse it, the manager and his staff, and they'll all analyse it tonight, and I presume they'll put, obviously, a meeting together for the lads tomorrow, and they'll go over what they've done well and where they've gone wrong. But I'd much rather them look over what they've done well, because I think you can improve. I think players, you might say different stuff, I don't know, but I think players enjoy looking at what they've done well and where they can get better on the back of that. So, yeah, can they not concede goals? Can they go through the tournament keeping clean sheets? Of course, but let's talk about the fact of they played a good Croatia side. You can't stop everything. It is tough to stop everything. I'd love to sit here and go, England have not give away any chances, but they did, and we conceded, and it is what it is. But they'll analyse it, they'll get better, and they'll move on, and that's what you do as a football player.
I suppose, Paul, then the question with the England goals that they conceded isn't really whether they were preventable, but whether they were a product of something systemic rather than maybe an individual decision, or something that would be done better in a different situation if a player made a different decision.
Yeah, I don't think there were individual errors as such. I think it was more of a collective. Maybe the defence been slightly out of position at times. They played a high line. Nico O'Reilly was exposed once or twice. They got in behind there. And the ball for Perisic for Croatia's second goal, it was a wonderful run, but he got caught on the blind side. And he ran in behind Ezri Konsa. It looked like it might have been offside. But I think that they're just little things. It's understanding and communication between the back four that will grow through the tournament. I think it's not necessarily anything to particularly worry about. As we've said a number of times, we've played against a very good Croatia side, and football is about scoring goals. And there were nerves, and the players were on edge in the first half. You could tell that. The game did open up a little bit more, but England were by far the better side. But yes, you can pick the bones out of it and you can criticise it, but I think the England team and the coaching staff will do that in a constructive way, in an educational way. There's no blame attached to anybody. It's a learning process for everybody to do together. Both you look at that and you look at what the team's done well, and you look how you're going to improve and progress.
OK, let's start looking ahead to the rest of the tournament, and let's start looking at what England can achieve. They've got games to come up against Ghana and Panama. Not expected to be as difficult as the Croatia game. So in terms of qualifying from the group, and in terms of the way the qualifying structure is set up, a win should be enough to get you through to the last 32, which would have been the bare minimum for England coming into this tournament. Can England fans start to get excited about this side, Steph?
I think so, yeah. Just because I think we've got a real good mix of experience in young players that have not really experienced a World Cup before. And tonight will have given them so much confidence to go, actually, I belong on this World Cup stage. But then you look at the likes of Harry Kane, Declan Rice, John Stones, Jordan Pickford. They've been there and they've experienced that already. So I think that mix of experience and youth and the potential that we have, I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, of course, the primary thing that we need to do is qualify as quick as possible, because then you allow the players to get a little bit. Thomas Tuchel might change the team, but also can we improve with every game? And I think we're sitting here thinking, yes, we can improve, which is a great place to be. We do not want to peak at this moment in time, and yeah, why not? Why can't we dream? I think that's what World Cup brings. I think it does bring that excitement, and it's so nice to be able to follow an England team and go, actually, we've got so much more to come.
And Paul and Connor, I'll get your thoughts on that, on what England can potentially achieve in this World Cup in just a second. We're waiting to hear from the England boss, Thomas Tuchel. We'll bring you that as soon as we have it. Midnight tonight in England's group, it's Ghana against Panama. Jonathan Pearce will be there. Jonathan.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, everybody. England's next opponents, Ghana, will want to go into that game on the back of an opening victory. It'll only be their second since 2010 when they reached the quarter-final. Manchester City's Antoine Semenyo starts for them, and also Leicester's Andre Ayew earning his 121st cap. Kelly, we're back to you. I think you've got the manager.
Thank you very much for that. And Jonathan and Efan Akoka will bring you commentary of Ghana against Panama after we've heard from Thomas Tuchel with John Murray.
Yes, here is the England manager live with us on BBC Radio 5 Live. Thomas, how are you feeling? First involvement in the World Cup. Happy? Relieved?
Yeah. Happy and also relieved, of course, because there's a lot of pressure on the first match. You want to have a good start. It's a big opponent, top 10 team in the world. We wanted to prove a point and was quite emotional and was a bit of up and down, and took us a while to settle in, especially in the first half. Our decision making was not on the highest level. On the ball, we struggled to find rhythm. When we could have played short, we played long. When we could have played long, we played short. We were not precise in our passing. We were slow in our decision making sometimes. So it was a bit of up and down. Even off the ball, we were not like connected as we should be. We didn't get the press 100% right. And also we were leading twice. It felt like we have now something to protect, and we were always stepping back and back to protect something, which is also not us. So I'm very happy about the result and also about the second half, because we showed a good reaction. And the players went for it and played with courage and played with intensity, and we played on the front foot, created a lot of chances and scored some great goals.
Yeah, the goals from Bayern Munich, Real Madrid and Barcelona this season. Well, that does help, doesn't it, when you've got quality like that? What about the Jude Bellingham?
Without quality is
well, exactly. What about the Jude Bellingham goal? You know, was that a big decision to include him, or was it an easy decision? And he scores a goal like that.
It's an easy decision to have Jude in the team. It's a very difficult decision to let Morgan Rogers out for what he did for Aston Villa, and especially also for me and for us, since I'm in charge. So that was the tough one. But I'm very happy also of course of how Jude played, because Jude knows that he does not have to do it alone, can rely on the others. He thrives in these circumstances, we know that, but he can be more economic. He can rely on others. He needs to be a reliable team player, which he absolutely was in the last 17 days and today. So well done. And the guys from the bench were amazing. We can rely on them at the moment, and it has to stay like this the next weeks, because we will need everyone.
Very good. Played 1, won 1. Well done, Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to John Murray as well. Really interesting to get a bit more detail on what Anthony Barry, the assistant coach, was saying at half-time about playing with a bit of fear, because he talked about them backing off when they had the lead and trying to protect that, which maybe gives us an insight into what we can expect from England as they progress throughout the tournament, as they will be hoping that they can. Paul, how excited can England fans get about this World Cup?
Well, no different to any World Cup. We're going to go and win it, aren't we? We always get excited as England fans. That's always the case. And I think it doesn't help us, because it's a difficult question to answer as a player, having been in that situation, playing in the World Cup. You sit in a press conference and a journalist asks you, what do you think are your chances? What are you here to do in the World Cup? What's a good World Cup? You're not going to say oh, well, it should be decent if we get to the quarterfinals, or a good run to the semis would be all right, we'd be happy with that. You're going to say we want to win the World Cup, we're here to win the World Cup. And then all of a sudden the next thing is Paul Robinson says England are going to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
And with the anticipation and the expectation, the England fans, and because it's been 60 years this year now that England haven't won the World Cup, the expectation there, the hope and the anticipation, it's always going to be there. But with this set of players, I think the saying, you've got to beat the best to be the best, I think that's going to become a real feature for England, because if they get through the group on the top of the group like we expect them to, it looks like they're going to end up in Mexico City, and that's highly likely to be against Mexico. So playing against Mexico in Mexico City at high altitude will be a difficult task. And then a last 16 quarter-final against Brazil somewhere along the line looms, I think, without looking at it off the top of my head. So it's going to be a tough run to the final, but there are teams that England can beat, and England on that performance today, yes, they can go all the way. They need a bit of luck, they need a little bit of quality, but on their day, that old saying as well, on their day they can and they're able to beat anybody.
Conor, as Paul was saying, there will be times when England players have come out and they've said, yeah, we're here to win it, but they know maybe a run to the quarters or a run to the semis is going to be a decent tournament for them. This group of players, will they expect to go out and not expect to go out and win it, but will that be the expectation they set for themselves?
They'll be believing it. They'll be going to bed tonight. I'm telling you now, they'll be going to bed tonight feeling I'm a little bit excited now, because excitement comes with good performances and excitement comes with winning. So for me, they'll go to bed tonight excited. There's 2 more big games, but we've got the big one out the way, haven't we? So I'm very excited as an England fan. I'm sure them players will be as well.
John Murray just been talking to Thomas Tuchel. Did he give you the sense that he was excited, John?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is a lifetime ambition to be involved in the World Cup for him, and here he is. He's experienced it, and I think interestingly, the players that he got on the field, Rashford and Rodgers, Mark Gay, Saka, they could easily be starters. And I think now, after that opening win, I think it is entirely possible that he might shuffle things around for the Ghana match, and we might see a quite different team, because, as we know, this World Cup, if you are going to go a long way, stroke all the way, it is going to be a bit of a survival of the fittest.
John Murray, Paul Robinson, Steph Houghton, Conor Cody, thank you very much for your company this evening as England get their World Cup up and running with a 4-2 victory against Croatia. And the football just does not stop. Up next is Ghana against Panama with Efan Ekoku. And first of all, Jonathan Pearce.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Good evening, everyone. Yes, the Toronto Stadium on a cool night on the northwestern shore of Lake Ontario is the venue for this game. Ghana, England's next opponents, of course. They would be favourites to win here, I think. Panama in their first final since 2018. They lost all 3 games then, including a 6-1 thrashing by England. But they could be tough today. Ghana with the more familiar names. The players are out on the grass pitch.